All right, we're live. Let's get going. Max, we got to pump you up.
Pump up the jam. Pump it up.
I think that's a little old for you. Very old for you. Very, very, very old for you. All right, Max. This is our second day of recording this week. We have a lot.
It's gonna be a long ass fucking podcast again. We went for an hour yesterday.
Hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
hour and 30 minutes almost. But we'll talk about that. Yeah, let's drop that intro and let's just get into it. What you say?
Yeah, man.
Okay, Professor of Everything and Lefty the Great. We're out.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this money-grabbing book racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. Yeah.
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 223. That's right. 223 of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keno White, aka Lefty the Great. Over there, who is now known as the Professor of Everything.
I hope this name sticks. It's just amazing. I mean, I think it's not much different from, Arrogant Max, but it's just, I love this one. It has the same meaning still, but it's not as obvious, so someone can misunderstand it.
Oh my gosh. We already have some of the listeners already calling you the Professor. So there you go. You're just pissing off more people every podcast. I love it.
I don't even try to piss anyone off. I don't know. I tell how it is,
Oh
People
my
like
gosh.
it how it is.
All right. So just a real quick, Arrogant Max is here. The Professor of Everything got to meet Briefcase this week.
Yeah.
So for our American friends, this podcast is 100% European. I'm going to say that. Like, it's all about EOS Daun. It's about Montpellier. It's all about that. I am doing a separate Snowbirds podcast with Hefty and an INS recap. I'm hoping Matty G is going to be on that with me, and maybe Raging Aiden Horn. I was just talking to him. That will probably drop Monday. But this week, it's all about EOS Daun because it was a great event. Our friend Will Venables, who's our co-host, who joined us, he actually attended the event. I've known Will for many years. Max really enjoyed it. It looked like he was just sitting off like, oh, I finally have a fellow European that isn't JQ on her. Yeah. And I thought it was a good chat. He told a very good story about the race. He was there. He was able to tell us a lot of things about it. He's been there quite a few times. And it was really good having Will on. Thank you, Will. Venables, aka Briefcase. I know he doesn't like that nickname, but it's just gonna stick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me get on. Let me say my thank yous, Max. We got a couple of shout outs, and we're gonna get right into it because we do have a lot of questions. I have a rant, and of course, we have the main interview, which is the EOS Daun recap. So let me get on. First off, I want to say thank you to all of you guys out there, the NNRC squad. We're continuously growing. Our Instagram's growing. The YouTube's slowly growing. It's like a trickle. What is going there? swear, YouTube, you get 3 like subs and then lose 2. I'm like, what's going on there? But we greatly appreciate that support and still strong on the audio side of things. Great. Thank you to the NNRC squad around the world. It's truly incredible that I still find it hard to believe that people around the world listen to what we have to say, and we ramble on for hours. But I greatly appreciate that. I guess you guys love RC racing as much as us. Shout out to the patrons of the podcast of the NNRC. You guys will get early release of this. I think we'll get this done while we're recording this. Is actually Thursday. So thank you to you guys. If you wish to become a patron or a YouTube member, the links for that is in the written description of this podcast. Certain perks you get with the Patreon is you get patron-only giveaways, and we do have giveaways. I also post a lot of the links to races and stuff like that. So if you really want to keep an eye on, don't want to go through all my Facebook stuff and all that stuff, I try to transfer a lot of what's in Facebook or whatever I post on Facebook to Patreon as well. Also, thank you to these awesome companies that support the podcast going into 2023. They are Invisible Speed, Mayako, Hitec RC, Sunpadao RC, TNR Fuels, Techno RC, Beach RC, Clinic RC, Lugs Racing Tires, Ignite Design RC. Super happy to have them on. Racecraft USA. We did an interview of Chase Ehrlich last week. Call RC, save 10%. Use promo code NNRC. RCGP, House of RC with their 2.0 drop. We discussed that in last week's podcast. Runabout Racing, JTP RC, and good luck to our good friend, Bobby Battier, who's going to Montpellier. We're going to talk about that more. And congratulations to our good friend, the doctor, Alexander Hagberg. He got a second in 12 scale and a third in touring car at the Snowbirds this past weekend. Also, remember everybody, links and coupon codes and affiliate links for these sponsors are in the written description of this podcast. Showing them some love, shows the podcast some love. If you don't have a link or affiliate link, just leave them a message and say you heard about them on the No Name RC podcast. And we are still currently looking for some additional companies to join us for this year. Also, I just want to take a quick shout out. As you guys know, I am going to DNC here very shortly. I'm geeking out of it. And I've been reaching out to various companies to help me go to this. This costs money. Things have to be, tickets have to be bought, hotels have to be paid for, all that type of stuff, food, rental of equipment, all that stuff. So I want to say thank you to all those companies, but I want to say special thank you because they just opened up their online shop to HRCR. They've been in operation for 1 year. The Eaters, I met Brian and his son. I met the whole family at Silver State, but I did meet them at DNC. They've been racing a lot. They're up there in Idaho. They built a great RC facility. They got indoor off-road, and they got outdoor on-road and outdoor off-road, and they're just waiting for the snow to melt. But thank you to them. They came on to help bring the NNRC and myself to DNC. And you can go to www.hcrcidaho.com and use the promo code NEW10 to save 10% on that. So go check them out, and congratulations on them being open a year. They really like racing. They were like, they'll go into the hot race. They've been hitting the circuit really hard, him and his son. So thank you to them. We have one spot left for the DNC coverage. If you're a company interested, you like what we do at these races, and you think, I know that's a great place to advertise. You get your name in the overlay, you get your name in the intro. Hit me a message. I need to get that all done because next week I'm sending in all my stuff to Danny Paz to do my intros and my overlays. So hit me up. Max, quick shout out to my good friend and Saltis nephew, Chemo. It's his birthday today. I didn't realize how early it is. Shout out to Saltis nephew, Chemo. They're in Bermuda. Happy birthday to you. And I'm probably missed some birthdays, but I'm sorry if I did. Max, so just so people have a quick synopsis of what we've done. Like I said, we had Will come in. We talked about EOS on this podcast. We've already recorded this. We recorded that yesterday. And then we've come back. We've got quite a few questions for you this week. We've got some news to talk about. Not too much, but we got some to talk about. And I quickly want to talk about the Montpellier GP that we have coming up this week. That's actually, people are getting there today. So you see all the, I've arrived at Montpellier GP. I just watched a Nemo walkabout of the track, all that stuff. So I'm getting excited for that. So with that said, Max, we're going to move on and go on to the high-tech. Unless you had anything to add, did you want to shout out? You know what? Do you and JQ have the same exact mouse that just clicks extremely loud?
Oh, it's a similar mouse, I think.
Do you know that's like my super pet peeve if JQ is like click, click. It's super loud, dude. Super loud. Super, super duper loud. All right, Max. Yeah, man. Hey, dude. It was a lot of racing going on this past weekend, Max.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens that all the races are on the same weekend. Like, you have Snowbirds, EOS, INS, like all three races where there's like top level, like fastest races in Europe and fastest.
And then there was races just all around the world, like just in different regions of America. Like the PNW had a race. I like I haven't had I had Chase on her, but I like this week I wanted to have a guest on. But it's like, hey man, we had a little break of Christmas and it's just been race after race after race after race. Yeah. I find myself almost every weekend just tuning into a race, which is fine for me. Not my wife doesn't like it too much, but it's fine for me. And then we can't even stop because we got Montpellier this weekend. Then I'm thoroughly kicking myself in the ass for not going out earlier to DNC. I should have flown out there on the Friday or the Thursday and went to the hot race. But no, but I wasn't sure what people were going to do. And I kind of wanted to come in and out of DNC. I didn't want to spend the extra time there. But now I'm like, I really want to go to the hot race because that's going to look stacked. Like you got Tasman going there, Barufalo, Roberts going there, Tebow, Avidas. Like a lot of people in California are going there. Like people are coming from, people are doing that whole coming over for the weekend before the whole DNC pilgrimage. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
The whole DNC pilgrimage. It's so good to see. Yeah, I'm excited. But I'm also excited about this weekend because I love this race. I really do love Montpellier. All right, Max, anything to add before we go into some Hitec RC news?
No, I'm good.
Nothing at all. Now we need to get you a silent chair.
Yeah.
We got to work on your studio. Now that you moved in, we got to work on your studio. You need to get you a proper chair that you're comfortable. It's not creaking like that. Yeah. What did you find that chair like on the side of a dumpster or something like that?
I mean, they are mostly secondhand because my girlfriend is one who prefers secondhand.
I understand that, but you can get secondhand good stuff. I mean,
it's all right. It just creaks a bit,
I mean, it's above creaking. It's definitely sounds like it's on the verge of breaking.
No, it's all right. They are quite sturdy. They just like when I move to side to side, they make.
Let's not move. And let's not click the mouse. Let's not click the mouse. All right. So as you know, this week's RC news is brought to you by Hitec RC, who's also helping us go to DNC. And they just dropped their new RDX 1000 AC/DC dual port discharger and power supply. They also dropped the AD350. I have the RDX 2 Pro right here. This is a little bit bigger. It's a dual charger as well with a sleek and modern design. Easy to transport handle. So it looks like a little generator, like you carry it like that. And it is the RDX 2 1000 is the AC/DC powerhouse you need to charge your high capacity battery packs at a rapid rate. The dual outputs each offer 20 amps of power to simultaneously charge two batteries of any chemistry, or you compare the outputs to charge at rates up to 35 amps. The RDX 2 1000 features easy to use LCD interface, display, handy push buttons, while the front panel XT60 connectors and XH balance boards help keep wiring uncluttered. Its high charge and discharge rates for lowering resistance and improving power make it perfect for stock racers, accepting both DC, 12-volt DC, and 100 to 240 volts AC. The RDX 1000 is the ideal charger at home or in the field and perfect for all hobbyists needing ultra-fast charging of their larger batteries. Also, they dropped the AD350, which is an analyzer and discharger. The high-power AD350 is ideal for discharging and analyzing both nickel and LiPo batteries. Its PC interface and higher capacity offer extended capacity and convenience to help you maintain ultimate battery performance. All products available now. You can go to Hitec RC where to buy to find out where you can get these awesome products. Thank you to Hitec RC for all their support let's get on to some RC news. We're still having little silly seasons trickles here, Max. Very trickles, just slight trickles of silly season. I think, you know the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire?
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed, yes. So Gatsu and Bayer, both like a week out, both X-Ray stalwarts announced that out at Hot Wing. Something's up here. Something is up. Something, I've said this to you.
I don't know. It's weird. I think, but Bruno is still with Hobby Wing, right?
I believe.
Yeah. So that's weird. I think they all joined Hobby Wing kind of because Bruno was there, so they wanted all to be under the same brand. But now Bayer and Gutschel both leave. So I wonder what's the next brand for them, because generally they do work with one brand at a time.
Or maybe they're developing their own.
I don't know. Perhaps, but I don't know if that would be the case.
I don't know. Something just feels different about this. That's all. I'm just gonna say that. Gonna say. I don't know. I just have my spidey sense is tingling. Neil Craig to Hot Race. This was a bit of a shock because he's been kind of pro line for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think because CML was the distributor for pro line for a long time, I believe. But then at one point it kind of all went downhill. I think it was when Horizon bought it, because then they are also the associated distributor.
Right. So there's some conflict there.
There must be some conflict there. Probably not like conflict, but at least something that it's not, sensible business or whatever. And also, to be honest, like Proline, like for some reason, Aiden Horn is still there.
I know. He won on them this weekend too.
Yeah. So I don't know. No, like, and the funniest thing is like Fend isn't running for them. So like there really isn't anyone running for Proline right now except for Aiden Horn.
I would say so. Yeah, I would agree with you. That is in 10 scale that can win like he won this past weekend.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be on to talk about that. But yeah. So do you think it's a natural? I think we're gonna see, because Neil Craig races a lot of 10 scale. So are we gonna start seeing? You think we're gonna start seeing Hot Race just get right into the 10 scale off-road tire market here?
I mean, they are somewhat in there already. Like I think they were a tire for at least some races somewhere, but the issue kind of is that, like in Europe, every race is spec tire event, so there really isn't any point in having tire sponsors for 10 scale.
Maybe in America?
I don't know. I think it's just for, 8 scale to have, a big guy race for 8 scale.
In the UK?
Race. Because in the UK, there really isn't many hot race drivers, to be honest. Everyone's racing Sismic or, yeah, it's kind of only Sismic right now. I don't think the pro circuit has some drivers, but I mean, not like big drivers, but they have like some quantity of people. But I think mostly just drive Sismic.
Okay. All right. Ongaro finally announced a Matrix. I have to say, I really like this announcement. I like that he came up and signed his name. I was like,
yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, he came in with the trophy, signed the camera, whatever.
I was like,
glass. Yeah, that was like a boss move. So yeah, it definitely looked like he was the man in that video. And I mean,
I like that. So. I like that type of marketing. Keep it up.
Yeah,
I like that. Blah blah blah. Still on tires. JC has released some new Astro and carpet tires. I know Brad Maynard has asked about this, but it caught my eye and I was going to talk about it anyway. So
yeah, the few things I'm like really baffled about is why doesn't Schumacher make staggers or at least some fusion type tire for use for 8 scale in the front, because here I don't know what J Concepts calls these, but effectively
they are called. Okay, they are called. I know what they're called. Hold on, I'll let you know.
It's something like like Swaggers.
So this is called it's called Swagger. The Swagger 1/8 buggy.
Yeah.
And then this is called I just saw it. The Nessie, like
yeah. So it's basically just like staggers and darts, but then J concept nice. But yeah, the thing I'm wondering about, why haven't they made a tire for 8 scale? Because they do race, like, for example, Netherlands, Belgium, quite a bit in the UK as well. They race
Germany.
Astro. Germany racing Astro as well. So yeah, there's quite a bit of countries
France, north of France.
Yeah, north of France, they do that too. So there's quite a bit of places where they race some pure Astro tracks for 8 scale. And they use like Schumacher spirals or mini pins. And now like J Concepts came out with their addition to that, so they have the kind of a dart style tire and then the Stagger Swagger tire for the front. And I think this can be much better, because the issue with the spirals and the mini pins is that you have to cut the pins a lot. You have to like either dremel or cut the pins quite much. So I think this type of tire would be much better for the front. And considering like 4-wheel drive 10 scale, you run already staggers in the front on most tracks. Some it depends. Some series run with a different one, but for example here in Finland, and I believe some other races we've raced with staggers in the front, also on Astro, not only on carpet.
Yeah, I've never seen. So you said that, okay, so maybe I didn't pay attention, but they use staggers on 4-wheel drive, right?
Yeah. 4-wheel drive front, they use it. On the rear, you always have, pin tires.
Right. I just never really seen. Maybe I just haven't paid attention. It just looks weird, like, to see that in an 8-scale car, because it's so much. I guess it's the same as 4-wheel drive, so I guess it's just I don't know. Interesting.
I wish they made that fusion type of front tire, that what you got on 4-wheel drive for carpet. Kind of that type where the edges are like staggers, but then you have still some thread in the middle to give you a forward drive.
I think I really want to know. So I asked Scott, but he hasn't answered me what he thought of this, because his AstroTurf race. He says I haven't seen them. I expect they'll wear more than mini pins. Well,
so that's what I was going to say too. The issue usually is because J Concepts has the exact same, like this thread pattern they released, the Nessie and the Swagger. Both of them they have for 10 scale as well, and we've tried them in Finland against the J Concept, the Schumacher tires, and the issue is always that they are slightly slower, and they also don't really last anymore than the Schumacher tires. Or most of the time they last less, have more wear in them. So it's kind of like just like the Schumacher compound, the tire, for some reason they are just very good as they are.
I'm talking about more of having these swaggers on. I'd be very interested to see how this market
I think that is the biggest thing, because I don't believe Schumacher offers staggers for 8 scale. They only offer pins and spirals.
Right.
So I think that could be something that might get these tires to be more popular. But to be honest, like Schumacher could just make those.
I mean, isn't Schumacher like the distributor of J Concepts, I believe, in the UK? I believe so.
Yeah, that is true, actually. So maybe they won't. I don't know. Hard to say.
I don't know. I'll be very interested to see how this tire does. You would think that this tire would come out of a European country because of the amount of. Well, maybe it's Schumacher. Maybe it's Schumacher and them. I don't know. I haven't seen anything like this, so I want to know how it works.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, what's the deal? Why J Concepts came out with this? Because as far as I know, like Astro racing in America for 8 scale isn't that common. But so it's
I think it's non-existent.
Yeah, so this is pretty much only European market. And then, like, if they're UK distributor is Schumacher, then like, why wouldn't Schumacher? It's a confusing scenario.
I know, confusing. I'm very interested to see how this tire performs. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I think for sure this Swagger front tire is going to be a good thing, because it must reduce the amount of, cutting pins or traveling.
Right. It has to. Like, the point would be that this works just as good as not having to be a pain in the ass grinding on tires.
Yeah. And for me, at least, it has worked that way in 10 scale. In 10 scale, you don't really have to do that with the staggers.
Okay. Sweet. All right. I don't have anything to add to that. So, Max is like, what's all this noise going on? I can see it in your eyes.
I don't know what she was doing. She was just getting all like, stuff in.
Damn RC nerds. Nerds. All right. That's enough Hitec RC news. Thank you, Hitec, for all your support. Coming up next, we're going to take a quick look at the Montpellier GP. But before we do that, I'd like to say thank you to Ignite Design RC, the number one gas truck conversion company in the world, bringing gas trucks back to the track near you. Ignite Design RC makes nitro conversion kits for your team associated X-Ray and TLR electric stadium trucks, and now also carries everything you need to complete the kit and go racing. There's a link in the written description of this where you can save 10% off a one-time purchase. That is only good to the end of February. If you was interested in getting one of these awesome Ignite Design RC gas truck conversions, you can save 10%. So use that link. And thank you to Ignite Design RC, another company that's helping us go to DNC. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy. Been talking to him quite a lot. Got a very thriving hobby shop down there in the panhandle of Florida. He says he's so busy he can't. You know what he said to me? He goes, nitrous to glory, but Traxxas pays the bills. That's what he said to me. I was like, you are right. You are definitely right.
Yeah.
All right, Max. So we have we kind of talked a little bit about this with Will, I remember. But let's take a quick look at the Montpellier GP. My favorite race of one of my favorite races. So now we have SIC, then we got the TNR race in America. So those are like the two first big races for America. But this is we have the one-man race in Italy, but this race here is like the big race. Like pretty much everybody, that's anybody in RC racing are going, besides the Viking, who's probably saying, I'm saving it all for DNC. But everybody's going to this race.
Yeah. Montpellier is kind of like the Southern Europeans race. UK people tend to go over quite often, but usually it's just Southern Europeans mostly, Northern Europeans, kind of the season starts a bit later. Most of them are still focusing on 10 scale when the Montpellier happens. So, but yeah, it's definitely like if you look at the past. I think the race has been on like at least 20 years now.
More than that, I think it's like 30 plus years old.
Yeah, it's probably like 30. And if you look at throughout that time, it's probably been like the biggest race. Maybe Neo was the bigger one in Europe. I'm obviously not taking into account the Euros themselves, but Neo probably the biggest of all time. And
this race has attracted international drivers. Like Mayfield's been there, Lutz has been there, and unfortunately, it's not been kind to the American racers because it's a very hard track. It's permanent. There's lots of people that are local to the track or local drivers that are really fast. But they did make a big change. I know a really big change, in my opinion, like putting a crossover there, and basically you go a different way that you used to go before now. And it's different. It's way different from normal years.
But I think to talk more about the why it's a difficult race is because it's a very weird surface. It's like very slippery, but then you still like kind of have grip. It's and then it's like very oily type of surface.
Well,
so, I don't know if they use it, but like. Well,
I did watch the Nemo Racing TV track walk that Lee Martin and John Hazelwood done. John actually went to the the warm up, and they were both saying that it's less oil than normal. So,
girlfriend's looking for some string.
String? What is she making?
Fighting. She's sewing in some patches or something. I don't know.
She's looking for thread. Then
thread, yeah.
Thread.
That's the word.
Throwing in some patches. Yeah, they said less oil this year.
Yeah. So it's hard to say. It's very hard to predict because, like last year, for example, it got rained out. So then it was completely different again. And then some years they get like snow. Some years they get like just rain. Some years it's hot. It's very different
cold.
Year to year.
It's normally cold at this race.
Yeah, it's usually cold. But like I believe the grip changes quite a bit, year.
I remember the one year it rained and they threw sawdust on, and I was like, no way this track is gonna be able to run, and it was able to run in no time at all. It was actually a great race. Unfortunately, we was robbed of probably a great race through rain, and it was actually Ungaro that won. Yannick Eigen won second because he was like, because it rained in one of these guys' semis. Right, I remember now. It did rain in one of their semis, and then Barufu came third. But they had the warm up a few weeks ago. Canas was on fire, and
it was the same last year. Canas like dominated everything last year, and then the race came, and then it rained, and then Ongaro ended up winning. So it was a bummer for him because he was really, really fast already last year, and this has been one of his strongest races always. So this is like a strong track for him.
I'm going to be honest with you, like I'm picking him for the win.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
I'm going to say him, Ongaro. Ooh, I know Roberts won this race before, but I see somebody like Berton doing really well, Yeah,
it's surprising. Berton has been usually quite good at this race. Like even at his Kyosho time, he's quite good. But then the warm-up that was earlier on, he did quite poorly. But I don't know if he even made the A. Must have had some issues, to be honest. But
all right, my dark horse gunner. I think Johnny Skidmore is going to do it. I see his gun. I think just his gun. He is going. If I'm for sure, I don't think both of them are going. I know he has made the main at this race before.
Yeah, I think so.
When I say dark horse, I think we'll see him do really well at this race, like better than usual.
Yeah, I think this is quite close to the UK tracks. Like not in terms of layout, but in terms of surface. There is no oil tracks. You have that smooth surface.
Different surfaces.
That's gonna be good for him. And also, like he is one of the fastest guys like that are gonna go to this race. So I would be expecting him to make the main, to be honest.
And to be honest, this is one of the last real Euro style, not last. Major Euro style races where our races held. You don't see many Euro style tracks like this anymore.
Yeah, and the weird thing is like the layout itself is not very Euro style, but the sort of multi-surface, very permanent layout, that is very Euro style. So, I'd call it a very French track, to be honest.
Probably. I could have seen that. It does have a lot of bank turns and stuff like that as well, and then that polished concrete, which they say should have more grip this year as it's getting older. So we shall see. If you guys want to check out a thorough track walk of that, check out Nemo Racing TV. RC Mag on YouTube will have the stream. It will be all in French, people. So just it will be that in French. I'm sure my RCM will have scoring. I will post all these links on the NNRC Facebook, Discord, and Patreon. And Circus RC will be there as well with pictures. And I believe Nemo Racing will be given some updates and stuff. I would look forward to seeing what they have to say in English. So, and then maybe we'll get Robert on her next week to give us a debrief of the race. We'll see how that goes. So that's what you guys can watch this weekend. Follow all the links on the NNRC podcast. It's a great race, everybody. I know a lot of people kind of want to, it's different when you don't have the overlay. I think RC Mag has the overlay.
They have an overlay, yeah.
Okay, they do? Okay.
Yeah. At least they usually have. I don't know. Last year they had some, I don't know what happened.
No, it wasn't RC Mag last year.
Yeah, it was. They didn't have the normal guys there. There was just some guy with a phone, pretty much.
Yeah. So
but yeah, usually when RC Mag has been there, it's been quite high level, to be honest, just in French.
I would agree with you. I'd agree with you. So check it out, guys. It's just in French, but just watch the scoring, I guess.
Yeah.
And, you'll be all right. All right, Max. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to talk about or add to Montpellier. I think we should just go right into the questions. We do have quite a few questions.
Hey, should we do picks? Top 3 picks?
Okay, I did forget about that. So I did mine. I have Canas, Ongaro, Barton.
Okay. I'm going to go with Ongaro, Canas, Batye.
Do you know, I want to pick Bobby, but I don't want to jinx him. But I think if he would want to win this race, but I think a top 3 would be great. A top 5 would be great.
Yeah.
A top 5 would be good. A top 3 would be great.
I think he showed good speed. Yeah, for sure. I think because this is definitely not the type of track where he excels. You know, he's won it before, yes, but it's not like his favorite type of track. I bet, at least not for the way he drives, what he usually is very successful on. So I wouldn't expect him to win, to be honest. But I think he had good speed at the warm-up. And he's like, they had only short mains, so he's really good at them long mains. So
Yep. This is very true.
I'm thinking he has some shot to do really well. And also, like, the Mayako is quite a good car for long mains. So, like, all of that, I think he can do really well with it.
I'll be watching. I will be watching. All right, man. I think it's time to go on to some RC bench racing Q&A, and that is brought to you by Beach RC. We want to thank Beach RC for all their support. Greatly appreciate it. We have an affiliate link for it. If you guys can use it, it will help us out a lot.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
Thank you to Beach RC. I think I'm going to have Brent on that next week to chat it up. I haven't sat off and chatted with him for a long time. Lots changed. He's been up to a lot of stuff. I also see that Wheel and Trigger dropped a podcast with Kyle Neary of the Wolf Den. Go check that out on YouTube. And thank you to Lucas for all his support. And keep up the good work with your YouTube, Lucas. And you can find the affiliate link in the written description of this podcast. All right, Max. So we have some Instagram story questions. We're starting to get more on this than our actual Instagram posts. And this goes from Easy Does It RC. Can you guys do more 10 scale off-road races, please? Well, this whole podcast is about 10 scale off-road.
Yeah, that's good. Good timing for that question. And yes, I think we should, because this is 10 scale World Year. I think more brands are going to send their drivers over the races. I think EOS is coming back quite strongly. Mm-hmm. And the American scene is like, it's quite like Aiden Horn, Rivkin, Fend.
Yep.
I think Mayfield's going to get back to it now. World's here. He has some AE cars. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite a good year for 10 scale. Yeah, he's fast too. I think he TQ'd around at the ILS. So yeah, there's lots of like these top guys in both Europe and America. So I think it's going to be a good year for 10 scale.
All right. From Helion RC, do you think artificial surfaces will become popular in 8 scale like it has become in 10 scale?
I don't think so.
Not in America. It's popular in Europe, though, Max. It is popular in Europe.
It is, but it has like it has to be a place where it rains a lot. You know, if it's a place where it's really dry, then the issue often is that it wears out tires really fast. You know, it's like way too grippy when it's hot, and then it wears your tires out quite fast. So it's not really much better than dirt. You know, so but then when it's like how would I say, like medium, doesn't rain a lot, but doesn't rain like very little, then most people just prefer dirt, like actual dirt. Then you can run it, you can water it if needed, and it will rain quite often naturally. But then when you go to like Netherlands, Belgium, UK, where it rains quite a lot, it's kind of a swampland, all of it. not to be offensive, but it effectively is under the water for most of the part. So it's hard to actually do a dirt track there. Just the soil is very soft. It's gonna rain a lot. It's just too much moisture. So places like that, yes, Astro racing is pretty much all they do in like Netherlands and Belgium. But then UK, they do oil tracks and stuff like that. So I think what it would take, well, actually Nemo Raceway is one good example of what could be the direction for, perhaps something like Florida might go into something like that, because it rains a lot there. The issue is that it's hot again, so it's a bit different. But like places where it rains a lot, I could definitely see that happening. But it just requires a way to find a tire that lets the car slide, but then again, it doesn't wear out. It's durable. It lets the car slide. That balance is good. I think then it might become more popular because it's much easier to maintain. But 8-scale cars, the track maintenance isn't that important. People can drive on rough tracks, whereas 10-scale is like the track has to be almost perfect. And if there's like heavy rain, the track has like all those water, what you call those?
Water puddles.
Yeah, no, but like the water when it's flowing down, it carves out, a crack.
Oh, a canal.
Yeah, a canal. So like for 10-scale, it's quite obvious that you either race indoors or if you race outdoors, you race on Astro. But for 8-scale, those things doesn't really matter. You can have bumps and most people like it. So the main issue is just, does it rain too much or is there some big thing keeping you from doing it? And I think that's why 8-scale won't go away from dirt.
I want to add something to that. I think what we're going to see in the 8-scale world is more sealed tracks or more type of tracks like that. I mean, we've seen tracks like that. The only reason also we have to look at the fact that American tracks change a lot. So American tracks are built on doing track changes quite a lot, So it's hard to put an artificial surface in there because you always got to build around that as well. Now, it'd be great to see that, but if you go down on a brick corner, it's always got to be a brick corner at some point, or whatever it is. So it's very difficult when you do so many track changes. All right, Mike Kaz, what's up? He's got himself an Ignite Design RC truck. Who do you think has been the biggest pioneer of the RC sport?
Biggest pioneer? Wow, that's hard to say. I mean, there's lots of different aspects. Like some could say like Oscar Janssen, or like he, made great electronics or whatever. Some could say, like Masami for being like the guy who took the racing scene into, more professional level, taking it so seriously and putting a lot of effort into it. Definitely like Mike Reedy could be one.
You're thinking about all these people in the sport. I'm thinking of a company that you're probably not going to agree, but I'm going to say it. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. I think Gil Losey could be one as well.
All of those guys, I think, are pioneers. All of those are pioneers in the actual sport of racing. But I think one of the biggest pioneers for the sport of racing has been Traxxas. So
I disagree.
Listen, they have brought more people into RC than probably a lot of companies.
But here's the thing. I think, okay, you might say Traxxas /
they
because
pretty much
that
created completely new classes in RC. Two complete new classes in RC.
Yeah, they did. But I think without Traxxas, like 10 scale off-road and 8 scale off-road would do better, you know?
No.
I think so, because people didn't really transition from, some did transition from, slashes to, buggies, but
mate, the slash is probably look. So this is, you got to understand that the slash and probably like the T-Max are probably two of the cars that have got more people into RC racing than anything else. I guarantee you.
I do agree.
You can't see it because you're not in America. I'm sorry, you're not in America, right?
Okay, but for sure here we had like slash series here too, and those were really good. But the issue is like, I still like think that's like a minuscule part of like what Traxxas is like doing. Most of the stuff, at least at this point, when RTR business is kind of blowing up, most of it has nothing to do with racing. It's like
it has nothing to do with races.
Racing. Yeah, but then like I pull back a little. I think the classes has done a lot. All those junior classes and that. I think it's done a lot, but I don't think Traxxas as a whole has made RC racing that much, better, because some people also have been pulled from racing to just bashing, So it's not that it only works one way; it works both ways too. So I do agree that the slash, you could say the slash was a pioneer. I'd 100% agree with that. Who created the slash?
Traxxas.
So, yeah, but it's like Traxxas as a whole is different. I wouldn't agree with that.
So I will say this: Traxxas killed Truggy, but killed Gas Truck, because they pretty much invented Truggy with the X-Max. I'm sorry, X-Max, T-Max. Yeah. But as I don't know, I was trying to think who would be a pioneer in that in our sport, and I think we have to think about like Gil Losi, the senior, is a pioneer, like how he took no shit from people like Ernie, the guy from Trinity, Ernie Provetti. He was a pioneer in his advertising and what he did with Trinity as well, So you got to add those type of guys. Those guys are the old school pioneers. I would think it's hard to lump that into one category. It's like it's so many different categories, because you can be like, what racer changed racing? Like, what this or who done that?
And it really depends. Like if you're talking electric, if you're talking 10 scale electric, then it has to be some American, because that was like so big, like someone like
I know who's the biggest pioneer in RC racing.
Who?
Lap counting fucking company. There we go. Because if we didn't have a lap counting company, we would have shitty racing. And you know what else? Spectrum, 2.4 gigahertz.
Yeah, but that the first ones that came out really sucked.
Yeah, but could you imagine going back to crystals?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, a lot of people ran crystals until like Sandbach came out with the 2.
When you had to go to a race and you had to have like 3 different channels, and then you had to have illegal crystals. You had your 40 megahertz, because they used to go to the States with them. You weren't supposed to have them, but I had them. So you didn't have to worry about being on somebody's channel. So maybe we're looking at it, if it's lots of little things like 2.4 gigahertz changed RC.
Yeah, and then LiPo, you could say LiPo batteries, but
LiPo battery and
brushless,
lots of things.
Yeah, but then if you're looking at it from an 8 scale perspective, you have to look at Japan, like Kanai to an extent. I don't know names, but whoever was like behind the Mugen 8 scale program, like the early Kyosho program. Mm-hmm. Like from an 8 scale side, those two were the massive brands. And then Hoba was big at one point. Like I don't even know when it was, but I think like the American brands came into 8 scale like mid 2000s.
8 like TLR came in like 2006, 7.
Yeah, O'Donnell and Thunder Tiger was before.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah, good stuff. I agree with that. Yeah. All right, but we have a
for sure. For sure. I cannot name like a one pioneer. That's
one person.
Too difficult. Yeah,
I can't name one person. Some YouTube questions, if you guys want. join our YouTube membership. Case Edwards, will Worlds have a control tire? If so, would you expect a JC Smoothie to be selected? So they do different companies for each class, right? So if four-wheel drive has one company, two-wheel drive has a different company?
Know. Usually, no. Usually they have the same company. I mean, in America, it could work out because, like, it would be easy. There's many big companies in America, but previously it's always been one company who's done it. At least as far as I remember. Hard to say what will be the tire and like what will they do with sourcing, because never before has sourcing been allowed at the Worlds. So what will they do? Do they just allow sourcing? Do they have a control additive? How did they do it? Like, do they have a specific room or let's say specific space for that? How do they store the tires? Like, if they don't have the smoothies, then do they have like a thread tire and everyone's going to be drummeling them flat? Like, yeah, I really, really hope they pick a good tire and then, you know, either allow sourcing or then have a control source. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be difficult. Hard to say which tire will be. I mean, most likely it's going to be the brand that offers it at the cheapest price or pays IFMA the most or whatever it is. But I don't think it's going to be, you know, like in China, the tire was Sweep. No one has even heard of Sweep in 10 scale, but they were still the control tire. I believe
Martin used to run for him.
He used to run for it, but it only in 8 scale. Like 10 scale, okay. 10 scale is different. And then in Hoodie Arena, I believe it was
Proline.
What you call it?
Whole shots.
Yeah, whole shots. But that's kind of the default. Like in Europe, if they hold a race, it's always whole shots. It's kind of dumb, but
okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
All right. Next question. Real quick, Max. Don't go super science, man. Tiny Tom, what's the best way to stop the car from bottoming out over small bumps and banked corners?
Small bumps and banked corners. Definitely stiffer damping. So either just going to stiffer oils, and if that makes the car like too stiff initially, then you have to go to, you know, more holes with bigger size so you can run again a stiffer oil, so you have more or less slow speed damping kind of, and then more like the what you call it. And people say it's more packed, but it's not like that. Effectively just less holes and bigger holes, so you have kind of a dull feeling on the car. So that way you can avoid bottoming out. Yeah, apart from that, I don't think there's much. Like if it's high speed where you're bottoming out, then you might enjoy to increase your anti-squat. If it's low speed, then it's pretty much just all you can do.
Right height?
Right height could be one, but generally if you're running right height, that's all right. It shouldn't be the issue.
Okay. Keith Holbert, he wants to know, will there ever be a Mayako Truggy? Yes. I actually saw one.
Yeah. I mean, there already is like, I think 3 right now. But it basically, right now what's happening is the prototype stage where we have like basic components, but, you know, sharing arms.
It's a Frankenstein.
Yeah,
but
kind of a Frankenstein stage still. It's effectively a Mayako with borrowed arms and some drive shafts and some parts. But I think hard to say when it will be released, but there will be for the members an option to get, you know, Mayako made parts and then some borrowed parts from other cars. I think mid this year.
Okay. He also wants to know, has JQ stopped making parts for the Black Edition? I think there's a ton of parts like in the factory. It's just, it's hard to find people that are carrying them nowadays.
Yeah, there's lots of parts out there, but they're just very spread out. Some guy has this part, some guy has another. There still is some parts to it, but very little. Like, I think A-Main might have some.
BenchRC has some, but they're not going to people aren't reordering parts because it doesn't exist anymore. All right, Kevin Mendez, what's up, my dude? He wants to know, this is a Mayako question, I hope you might know this, Sir Max. What is the proper size bearings for the rear 3-piece aluminum hubs in order to use the 94mm universals? I heard that this will help me in tracks with super bumpy sections and bumpy turns. Thank you. He just wants to know the bearing size. Do you know offhand what it is, Max? Is it it's encapsulated?
I think it's 16 times 19 times 4. I don't know. Like, it's basically, if you order from, you look at the Mayako side, just the bigger one of the wheel bearing. Use that on the inside, and then the regular stock one on the outside. That's how you use it. I believe it's 16 times 19 times 4, but I could be wrong. Okay. Something along those lines.
All right. We'll figure it out for you, Kevin. And Dave Berdu, does Lefty have underwear that is older than Arrogant Max? I don't, but I probably have a t-shirt that is.
No, I remember the size. It's 14 times 19 times.
Okay.
I think so.
You just completely blacked out on my last question.
I don't know. It was. What was it about? Do you have a dad? Yeah.
I have 2 dads.
I have probably like fucking hundreds of dads at this point. Like the real one, my actual dad, and then any other male character that has a gripe with me, old male character. So,
but I do have t-shirts that are probably older than you.
Yeah, I was born. I haven't even lived in the last century. Like, we've been living in different centuries.
This is true. I was born in 78, and you was born in
2000.
Jesus. Well,
I haven't even seen on 20th century. All
right, we're getting on to some Facebook questions. Dallas Hoover, do you think Tekno will ever make a 2-wheel drive buggy? I don't think so.
No, not in the next 5 years. As far as it's looking like, they're probably going to discontinue the 4-wheel drive as well.
Maybe. I think they just came up with a new short course truck, though. A light.
Yeah, I think they're just not interested in time scale at all. I think so.
I think so too. 1 second. Sorry, I had to cough off camera. Benjamin James. I've asked about up-and-coming coming junior races a couple of times in this podcast. Is there a way to evaluate junior races under 15, at least using under 15 for sake, and team managers, especially for chassis manufacturers, be able to bring in talented junior racers who show potential to reach the level of races that Dakota Fan, Ryan Mayfield, Cavallari, et cetera, et cetera.
Can I rant?
It comes to, so Mike Fuller answered this, who has 2 young kids who are currently pursuing the RC dream. And he says, I want to read what he said. He goes, Benjamin James, to be brutally honest, so I know what Benjamin James wants. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Fuller goes, Benjamin James, to be brutally honest with you, the best paths I've seen is to have your young drivers attend big national level races in 1/8 or 10 scale. To catch the eye of the manufacturers, your young driver will have to have the ability to make the top 5 in intermediate and or / open at the big 5 1/8 scale events. In 1/10, they will have to be able to make the A mains and expert stock classes. I feel the gains made and competition will help them develop and be seen by the manufacturers more than any junior class. With that being said, I love the junior classes and feel they are much needed, but are not going to develop or get young racers noticed, but they do offer an outlet to keep the frustration level on and provide a fun class for them. I think what Benjamin keeps coming, he keeps on about organization, right?
Yeah. Can I rant now?
Go ahead. You know what?
Yeah.
Keep it short.
So, okay, this is not in any way directed to, I guess it was Benjamin who asked the question. This rant is just about the general topic of, how we're going to do things in RC, but in any sport, any organized thing whatsoever. You can't expect organization without creating any form of structure or control within your sport. You have to have some sort of governance, be it lateral or, horizontal, lateral or like hierarchical, So it doesn't really matter, but there has to be some rules that which everyone agrees to be playing by. And as long as that doesn't happen, any form of organization cannot happen. It's just some play by some rules, some play by different rules. Maybe within areas there might be something that's going to plan out. But most of these companies are worldwide, and not if not worldwide, at least like all around the Western world. So to have an organization that would cover all of this, even all of America, at this point, it isn't even on the horizon. It's like, no pun intended, but it's just not going to happen at the current stage. So first, we must establish some form of agreement, maybe among manufacturers, but at least among race organizers and the federations, which the manufacturer would follow. Or, it could work either way. But there has to be a wide agreement between parties who are responsible for either creating the products and sponsorships, or the ones who organize events and sort of give the value of, you finish this position, this event is valued this high, But it's controlled by like just randomness, there isn't no control. Like some might say, so this driver won SIC 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, nobody big went there. There was just like a kind of a local race, but a big one nonetheless, but a local one. And I think that is one of the big, that is one good example of the big issue at hand. There isn't any long-term prestige of anything, especially in America, where you could build a structure where you could grade people in terms of stuff like this. So effectively, what Mike says is exactly right, that the only way to make it is to go to one of these big races, do well enough where people notice you, and then look professional enough where they're like, oh, he's going to be a fast guy. And that happens for kids, that's the same. For guys looking out to be pro, that's the same. Like someone like Tyler Jones, he has to be on the top 5 of the big race, to prove himself. But there's no way to tell, oh, he's that good, he's going to be that good. There's no organization, no nothing. So it's just, perception. Like, how do you see this guy? Do you see his worth for the company in terms of marketing, whatever? And some drivers Drake's value is not at all in his results. It's his value is somewhere else. And that's one thing that it just kind of is, that there's value in all aspects. But to have this idea of how we're going to bring up young up-and-comers with structure, that's not going to happen without having any form of control or at least a wide agreement between people inside the sport. So it's just a distant dream, to be honest. And people would have to have the attitude to work together to have any change in that matter.
Yeah, nobody's going to do all of that. And
yeah, exactly. So it's just it's not going to happen. So make it so that what's happening now is tolerable.
We can't even. But yeah. I first need to see a definitive line between Pro and Joe first before we even.
Yeah, even that isn't established. Currently there are classes that you can't end. There's no restrictions. There's just like a line that says, "Oh, you can't be sponsored." But how do you prove that? Like Degani brings his receipt and runs into an intermediate, but obviously we all know he's not, an intermediate driver. He's an ex-pro driver.
But he is of intermediate level at this point. He doesn't win these races.
That's true. Like he should be driving probably intermediate, but I think and the reason why he's driving intermediate because someone banned that if you're running pro you can't run 40 plus, which is his number one class. So there's these rules that are not really enforced by any actual, it's just an inconvenience to people. There are no rules. These are just, their
guidelines
like this.
Guidelines.
Yeah,
guidelines. I would agree with you there because there's nowhere to enforce them. And these race and a lot of these, and you know what? A lot of these race directors, race promoters, they don't want to piss people off and don't have them come back again because it's not a lot of people to come around. It's a lot more that has to happen. And before these men, in a perfect world, all of this would happen, right? All of this would have happened, but it just isn't perfect in RC. It's far from it. All right, Douglas Reek, he wants to know, when is Max racing in the USA again? No idea, right, Max?
Yeah, no clue. I hope to make DNC probably next year, but I don't know. I'm probably going to be quite. The issue is that in the summertime there aren't any big US races, and in the wintertime I'm quite busy with school, so it's can't do anything about it. Okay,
John Houghton. Question for Max: are setup stations that necessary in 8-scale nitro buggy, and what is your process to measure, adjust dial and toe settings on the front wheels without one? Is eyeballing acceptable?
Eyeballing is acceptable if you know what you're doing, but for most people, unfortunately, that isn't the case for most people. What I usually do is I measure the length of the links, and then I use just a normal camber gauge to check the.
Yeah, don't you put it up against a wall and just measure it? Someone used to put it up against a flat surface, and then you just use your camber gauge to measure off of that.
Yeah, well, for the front, actually, in the Mayako buggy, there's a feature where you can easily center the steering with just putting in one screw. So you just put in the screw and you can measure camber at the centered point. So that's a nice feature to have. For those that don't have it, I'd suggest just putting on your, transmitter and having your wheel centered and then measure it.
Do you think that setup stations are necessary though? I see JQ using more and more setup station.
Yeah. So here's the thing about it. You don't need a setup station, but I think for most people, it would be preferable to have one, but you don't need one. It's not gonna make or break your RC life. Be it you take it as a hobby or try to make it a career. That's not gonna make or break it, but your life will be easier with a setup station. It's less down to you actually knowing what you're doing. Just you just look at the line, and if it's there, it's fine. But I think it's not needed. There was a really, really long discussion about this on the Discord.
Let's not get into a long discussion about this and all.
Yeah, Joseph is a die-hard, everyone should buy a setup station guy, and I do.
Which is funny. Because he has a bunch of videos showing you how to do things like check ride height and do all that stuff and do all that in 60 seconds. And he still does the ruler thing to check his ride height too, by the way.
The droop is actually the best to do that with ruler.
Droop, sorry.
But it's if I say, you don't need a setup station, some people are going to be oh, but you said here 2 years ago on the Discord like this. My point has always been the same. You don't need it. It's not 100% something you absolutely need. But if you think that setting up camber consistently is a chore, then definitely get it. But you can make without it. The way I do it is just I measure the link length, then I make sure it's accurate with the camber, like regular camber gauge. And I center the steering. In my car, I do with just a screw. If I don't have a car that has that possibility, I just turn my transmitter on and measure that way. And then, it's just I check it from like 3 to 4 points on the tire, because the tires are always bent. The wheels are bent always. So I check it from 3 to 4 points, and then I recheck it. I check everything twice. And so I get an average, and I kind of have an idea of where it is at. But most people don't do it that precisely. So if you don't want to focus on measuring your camber, you just want to do it, then get a superstation.
Okay. Cultura, who has a son, Cole, he just wanted to add something. Sponsorship does happen at an early age these days. It would be interesting if there were a way or means to evaluate it, but he says even the top 25 list gets criticism. And he goes on to say that, similar to the Mike Fuller comment, it's about the ability to compete with the big boys. I think he was answering one of the other comments. Chasen Erla, but I thought that was a good point. Chasen Erla, yeah, dude, how do you burn garlic bread in an air fryer? You leave it in there and forget. Brad Maynard wants to know if we can banana you the entire time, Max, and he asked us about the new 1/8 turf tires. We just talked about that in the high-tech news. Chris Powell, these are the questions I really dislike. This is the sponsor and sportsman stuff, but I have to read it. Let's see. Let me clear my throat.
I like all of the questions.
I noticed. What is the best way to separate people by skill level? If sponsors are sponsoring sportsmen, intermediate, and sportsmen no longer need to be separated. As an intermediate myself, I could go pro and be last or be an intermediate and earn my place. Most large races, race time entertainment size have only 3 mains worth of people in pro. So what keeps people from being last in the C main and pro, or being mid-pack in C main and intermediate? A class that oftentimes has an F or G main, which looks better on the race report. C main pro. What? So we've had this question with what looks better on the race report. C main pro without context looks decent, but it's still last, or C and D main earned in the intermediate class. I'm confused with that. I thought the question would be, what's better, C main pro or A main intermediate?
Okay, the way he framed the question in the beginning was, how do we separate skill levels? And I have the best way to describe it so that all Americans can sort of visualize what I'm saying. You have these mains, you split people, you do qualifying, and then you split people into mains. The highest qualified people are placed into the A main, and then you go down there, the next 15 to the B main, and then the C main, and then the D main, And then at some point, you have the mains up to J main. So from D main to H main, probably, D main to E main, okay?
Mm-hmm.
F main, whatever, you can choose it. You can use your imagination at this point. You call those drivers intermediate, okay? Then the drivers that are on the last third of the list, you call those guys the sportsmen. They just came there to have fun. And those guys in the A main, those are the pros. But you know what you do? You just call them that, and that's it. You have guys from A to J main, and you call them, and wherever they place, if they're at the midpoint, they're intermediate, intermediate, it's not the best, it's not the worst, it's in the between, pro, absolute best, top echelon of the drivers. And then the sportsmen, the guys who are just there to have fun. And see, this is how you split 150 people into skill levels, and they can race with the drivers that they are similarly skilled with. You don't have to choose which class you enter at the beginning of the race, but you will end up at the class that you belong to after the qualifiers. And how this is done? There is just one class. You enter 8 scale nitro buggy. And then after the race is done, you see if you ended up being intermediate or if you ended up being sportsman.
Yeah, but you know what? It comes back to what I said last week.
Yeah, I know. People want their piece of plastic to bring home, and
they want that, and they want that Facebook post. The rant is actually concerning this because it's about Mark Santamaria's latest video.
No,
people ain't gonna like that, Max. People ain't gonna like that because they want their 30-minute aim. They want their 30-minute aim in. They want their it's not gonna happen. I don't know how you separate people from that, or maybe you have a qualifying round where everybody just goes, and then that's like a seeding, like it counts. Like I don't know. I get what you're saying. Well, just
what if everyone had a 20-minute bump up main? What if everyone had a decent amount of runtime for the mains? No matter if you are the fastest guy on sportsman or the slowest guy is intermediate. What if you all had the equal time of runtime on the track? And then, you know what you can do? You can give each bump up, maybe one bump up, two bumps up, whatever it is. You give all of them a piece of plastic they can bring home and show to their wife that doesn't give a shit about it.
You know what? We had one class. There were none of this sandbagging going on. That's for sure.
Yeah, like imagine this. You have one class. You solve so many issues. No more sandbagging. No more wondering, should this guy be here or here because he has this sponsor? No more wondering like, hey, am I actually intermediate? Should I go to pro? You're already there. You just need to bump up one more, mate. Doing things more simply would solve all of your issues. And you know what? The amount of entries would probably not even change. People would still show up. You just tell them that you'll get that piece of plastic when you bump up,
Oh my God. I don't know how they're not going to do that. So I don't know how this is ever going to be solved. He does go. Let's answer this question real quick. Which looks better on a race report? C main or pro? Or CD main earned in intermediate class? Well,
okay, here's the thing.
I think he's got that confused because I feel that the A main of intermediate are this is what happens. This is a common mistake. Just like hot laps make people feel great. I came 12th, but I had fastest hot lap. Yeah, but you came 12th. Mm-hmm. I was this fast in the intermediate main. My times would have been equal to being in the A main of the nitro buggy. It's not the same.
Yeah, and also
it's not the same.
Yeah, even if he framed the question in a way where is it better to be C main in pro or A main in intermediate? If I was a team manager, I wouldn't give a shit if you were an A main intermediate. But if you were driving pro and you didn't finish last, I'd value that more than winning intermediate, to be honest.
I will say this, that winning the A main and intermediate at one of these bigger races right now is more valuable than being in the C main. I'm being honest with you.
It is. If you look at the field, yes, that is the fact. But just the fact that you run pro, I'd value that more than you running intermediate, to be honest.
I don't know, man. It's almost like we need I hate to say it, a semi-pro class in between intermediate and that. I don't know. We're not going to beat this one. Yes. And we're not going to beat this horse anymore. This horse is dead.
What if you're not intermediate, but you're not semi-pro? You know
what? Everybody just has a class. We're going to have a class for everybody.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do it like a class for Joes. Everyone named Joe has class.
There we go.
Everyone named Anthony, Tony's count too. They have a class. Everyone named Michael class is going to be the biggest one. There's going to be probably the A and B Michael class.
All I know is, and I've said this over and over again, in this day and age, sponsorship does not equate to skill level. It's not a way to, in my opinion, it's to, like all these, like I know DNC has that you can't be sponsored in sportsman, or you can't have a full ride in intermediate. And some people adhere to those rules, but a lot of people, it's so to the point now where sponsorship, okay. Sponsorship's not where it used to be, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't equate. So people are just, it doesn't equate to your skill level. You kind of have to, I don't know, do what Max. You know what? We're not talking about this anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
The thing why I'm just putting this, like, blowing this shit out of proportion is because we've talked about this so many times. The solution is so simple, and yet it's not, like, I don't know how this isn't just obvious to people, because you could give those trophies to every bumper, so then bumping up would be valuable. You'd give everyone the 20-minute main, so everyone would have similar runtime, and if you ended up making to the A, you get that 45-minute main.
And remember, in the one class, you used to get a first, second, or third trophy for each main. So let's say they had 3 bump ups, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't want to bump up, you took your trophy and went home.
Yeah, yeah.
You was like, oh, I want to bump up, and keep on bumping. But the persons that came, so say it was 2 that bumped up, the people that finished third and fourth will finish first and second in that main, and they still got a trophy. But that's it's not. It's too far gone from that, Max. It's too far gone.
Yeah, but I think you could just have, like, because in the end they're gonna give away a lot of trophies anyway. You could just have, like, winner of, D main, like first bumper of D main trophy, like you could give trophies like that to people.
You know what? We're not talking about this anymore. We're not.
Yeah. I'm just trying to solve the issue that should be solved.
We're not talking about this. Okay. Banana.
We're gonna stop it. Banana. That's our a safe word.
That's right. Banana this. Victor Vasquez, Professor Max Mort.
My new nickname.
I think we're just going to have to call you Professor Max. Can you cover? You're going to have to be quick with this one. Don't go all science, man, because you called you Professor. Clutch tuning. He wants you to explain it in 50 words or less.
50 words. Holy shit.
75 words or less. Loose versus higher bite. Do you change both springs or all 4, or use aluminum and plastic?
Okay, 100%. Oh shit, I used words already. So 100%. If it's high grip, don't use plastic. It's not going to work out. I don't know. I mean, some brands might have some
carbon. They're called.
Yeah. I mean, whichever you call them, but composite material. 100%. If it's high grip, just go all aluminum. Generally, for higher grip, you go to stiffer springs. It's hard to say, but if you're running a 3-shoe clutch, generally what I do is I run 2 stiffer ones and 1 softer one.
I think he's on a 4-shoe clutch from his question.
Yeah. Okay. But either way, if you run a 4-shoe, you run 2 softer and then 2 softer and 2 harder. And you kind of go by increments. So on low grip, if it's really, really low grip, and you have an option to go to a composite shoe, definitely like go 2 composite, 2 aluminum if you're 4-shoe clutch. And then remember to always run softer spring on the composite because of the fact that they are lighter. So they will, tend to not have as much force pulling them out. Then kind of what I usually do is I find a suitable clutch for a condition. And then, when I go to higher grip, I just go up by increments. If I'm running, right now I'm running 2 1.1s and then 1 1.0. If I go to a higher grip track, especially if it's like really aggressive accelerations, I just go to all 1.1s. And if it's like, a track that you just need a really, really stiff clutch, like it's so high grip, then I would go just like 1 spring at a time to a stiffer one. Generally, I'd say it's better to have 1 softer and 2 stiffer always, or then 3 all the same. In 4-shoe clutch, like always 2 and 2.
2 and 2.
And this is because, you kind of don't want one grabbing
for the other.
Yeah, like you want to have sort of the one sort of grabbing before, and then you have the whole engagement. And then because if you have 2 shoes engaging and then one is lagging behind, that doesn't really give you any difference, you know. So you want one shoe engaging first and then two after that. So you have that smooth engagement. But yeah, basically what you do is low grip, you can take advantage of the composite. Personally, I do like mostly just running aluminum shoes. And then if it's low grip, I would just go to a thinner spring. But composite is a valid option when it's super, super low grip, especially then.
All right. Thank you, Victor. Mark Heading, I don't know if you saw this, but he says, thoughts on the new wheel speed RF3 conversion for the TLR 5-gear transmission. Woo, I must admit, man, these aluminum stuff that chassis and stuff and whatever, that wheel speed, those guys do some really great aluminum work, man.
Oh, yeah. Those are so cool. It's and it's crazy because those are actually lighter than, you know, a stock chassis would be. Yeah, because it's stiffer and lighter because of the way they've done it. So that is definitely interesting. And then I don't know about the 5-gear. I just think that's I mean, the simpler the better.
Okay, all right. I'm a peon. Explain the reason for that. Is that to extend the transmission more to the mid?
Yes. So basically, there's two things at play. So if you're running, you effectively have to run at least 3 gears. Like it's kind of almost impossible to do a 2-gear one just because of, you know, you need a little bit of distance. So the minimum you can run is a 3-gear. And when you're running a 3-gear, that means that the diff and the motor is spinning at a reverse direction. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, exactly. So the motor is, you know, oh, wait. What the fuck am I talking about? So the diff is like obviously spinning at the direction of the tires, but then the engine is spinning at the opposite direction. Okay. Then if you have a 4-gear transmission where you have 2 idler gears and 1, you know, spur, what you call that one? Top shaft. You have a top shaft. You have a top shaft, and then you have 2 idlers. You have a 4-gear transmission. In that scenario, they are spinning in the opposite direction. So the engine effectively tries to raise the car up. When you press the throttle, the engine rotates backwards. So it raises the car front, which basically means that it pushes the rear down because the car is not going to lift up from the ground. So basically, if you have an even number of gears, you're going to have the car give more grip on power. But then again, generally, as we always run 3 gears now, it usually makes it so that there's less corner speed. The car is like more, you know, jumpy on power. So it's not optimal for speed. That's why you run an odd number of gears. So when you press the throttle, the engine actually turns the car down, you know, the front end down. So the car stays more flat. Okay. So the reason why instead of going to 3 to 5 gear is because that way you can reach or put the engine more forward. So it's basically what you just said. Just getting, you have the engine move more forward, weight balance towards the front. But yeah, pretty much in current two-wheel drive designs, all of it is odd number of gears, like internal gears.
Awesome. Okay, Joe Jenkins. What's up, Joe? Pitted next to him. No, sorry, another Joe. I always get these guys, him and another Joe, confused. Not sure if this has been asked already, but will the Mayako team be attending the 10 scale worlds? I spent a good bit of time yesterday watching the past 10 scale worlds, and noticed Tiba and Ronafalk are both quite handy with the smaller rigs. I know Ronafalk's going. I think he'll run whatever he wants, but I think he's leaning more to TLR. And I was listening to Tiba on his live yesterday, and he says he wouldn't mind doing the worlds, but I don't think he has any plans of getting back into the 10 scale. He might do the Worlds. I don't know. You'll see. So we shall see. But I'm pretty sure that Ronald Falk is going to do it. My good friend Jamie Docking, he goes, does Max, the professor, think that the Reds bearing in the black plate, the Reds extra bearing in the back plate will affect primary compression at all? Remember, I think it's talking about that Reds back plate, yeah.
So would it affect compression?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't see that happening there. I don't think it would affect. I mean, perhaps, but very, very slightly. It shouldn't be a significant force there. I think it's more about the backplate is more about, just
preventing the rod from scraping up against the back of the backplate.
Well, that's one, definitely the scraping the backplate, but also you're gonna have some, fluid friction because there's gonna be oil there. So when the oil moves past it, the flow is gonna slow the RPMs down, at least to some extent. So if the backplate is spinning with the conrod, what's it called? Yeah, conrod, it's spinning at the same time, then you lose that, or gain, to be honest, that a loss of fluid friction or whatever you want to call it there.
So, just spacing out.
Yeah,
too
much things to think, too much spinning things in my head. But
basically, I can see the gears turning.
Yeah, basically, the job of the backplate is to reduce the amount of fluid, friction that is happening between the conrod moving around and then, the crankshaft spinning and the conrod end, like being close to the backplate. There's fluid below it, and the flow will slow it down because of fluid dynamics reasons. And then the backplate, when it's spinning with it, it's reducing the drag, and with that, increasing RPM. But the reason why I don't think it's affecting compression is because the forces there are much more significant. Like when you're spinning at high RPM, the drag becomes to be quite large. So there might be a significant difference in there. But when you compare the force of the drag to the amount of force that's coming from the piston on compression, I don't believe it's significant to, make more power out of it. But I think it would reach more RPM.
Okay. I'm sorry. I checked out a long time ago on that answer.
Yeah, it's hard to explain without any visuals or anything. It's like, right. I haven't tried it or anything, so I don't really know fully to say. But I don't think the forces are comparable where it would make any effect on the max torque, of the engine.
Sweet. All right. Thank you everybody for the questions. We greatly appreciate them. I didn't expect to get so many questions because I only put this up yesterday, I think, or the day before. So thank you to everybody for those questions. Thank you to BenchRC for their continued support. Remember, everybody, we have an affiliate link for them in the written description of this podcast. We're now going to go on to our 1 hour and a half debrief of the EOS Daun race. Then I'm going to come back for a little rant I have with Max. It's going to be a quick rant, not going to be long. And then that's going to be it for our podcast this week. So let's go find our new friend, the Briefcase. What do you think, Max? Thank you to Techno RC. Yeah, thank you to them for their continued support.
Yeah, it's kind of
Techno RC.
Oh. I didn't know you were starting the intro. It's kind of ironic that we talked about Techno discontinuing their 10 scale line, and then we're like, thanks to Techno for sponsoring this 10 scale only podcast.
Well, they want to win that 8 scale title. That's what they want.
Yeah. Okay, now we can go to Techno ad break.
Okay, now we can go to the commercial. Okay, thank you.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.technorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Techno RC. Excellence in engineering. #Techno Takeover.
So joining me this week is, I want to call you a young man, but yeah, you're an adult now. You're 25 years old. So, you know, yeah, an adult. But when I knew you, you was a young man. You was like 17 and whatnot. But yeah, joining us this week is a person that I met when I was over in the UK working on the Crossrail. And I got back into RC. And I don't even remember how I met this guy. But I ended up traveling with him to a few times. We went to Maritime. We went to Silverstone a few Tuesday nights. We was with Anthony, who was driving us around. But I'd like to welcome, he's been on our good friend, the Extra Lap podcast. He's been on there a few times, I believe. You've been on there, yes. But I'd like to... Go ahead, Will. Go ahead, talk.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a running joke that I've been on basically every single UK podcast now. So I think that's kind of why I got a little bit of this small fame or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, obviously, thanks for having me on.
You are famous. You are known as Will Venables or Venables, or as you are known throughout the UK as Briefcase.
Yeah, that's the urban legend.
You know,
that's the word around the street. Yeah.
So welcome, Will. We have you on because you actually went. We're going to talk about the EOS Daun race. That was really, really, really good. I watched a lot of it. I followed it on the EOS Facebook, YouTube, and of course with Raceway One, done some great coverage of it as well. But it was a big race, a lot of hype around it. Brock Champlin went, so that was good to see. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about you, Will, so people know real quick, so people know who you are, what you do. Like I said, I met you. You're 17. I think you're still in university, or might have been in high school. No, you're in uni. 16.
No, it was college. No, it was college. So like here in the UK, like you kind of have like three options of where you sort of can go after, like, we call it secondary school, but it's your guys' equivalent of middle school. So there's like college, which is like before uni, or there's like you kind of continue doing high school or you get a job. So yeah, I went to college, and that's kind of how I met you, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't. Well, anyway, Will and I kind of met each other. I got back into racing in the UK. I bought myself a B5M. I was renting a room up on Good Street. I was, and then we knew this guy Anthony, who I haven't spoke to in years. I need to look him up again. So I met him, and he like kind of volunteered to pick me up and take me around, and then Will kind of got in on that, and we ended up going to like Silverstone, and that was like when I got back into RC, but through 10 scale, and I got to learn about the UK. I never even knew that existed, like making semi-permanent tracks, all that stuff. So you've been racing for quite a while. We've known each other for a long time, and you've continued to race through all that time. You haven't really touched any nitro stuff, but that's understandable. You did attempt to for some time, but I understand that in the UK, 10 scale is king. So, I will forgive you for that.
Hey, I'll make a comeback one day.
But you've traveled a lot in these years. You've been to European championships for 10 scale. You've been to EOSs. Have you been to a Worlds yet?
Yeah, I went to Hoodie Arena in 2019, so that was an amazing experience there.
So you are a full-on RC geek, just so everybody knows this. Like, he is a nerd just like us. He geeks out on this stuff. He just went to EOS. So I thought it'd be good to have you come on here, because this race was huge. It was a lot of entries. It's the last race of the 2022-23 season. So it's like round 3, I think, of EOS.
4.
Yeah.
3?
Was it round 4?
I don't know. It says
3,
it on my RCM. It's 4.
Okay.
It might have been actually 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3 because they had one in I can't pronounce it, like Gothenburg, and then a Workshop. And then this was the third one in Daun.
Did you do the one in Workshop?
Okay. Yeah, I did actually. I only did 2-wheel drive, but I was there at Workshop.
How is that? I mean, we're going off on a tangent, but that is a very unique surface. Max and I were just talking about this last week because he thinks he has a similar surface in Finland.
Yeah, we race on like slippery concrete, like smoother concrete. So it's like slippery, but we use like additives on it, like some substance to make it a bit more grippy. But what I heard from Joona and Beck was it was different, but it was similar. I don't know how it workshop is.
Yeah, so basically workshop's kind of like this rubber cork flooring is the best way to describe it. And we don't use any sauce or additive or anything over there. I've only been there actually for the workshop, but I know I have the guys like Jamie Hall and so on. Those guys, they go to the whole winter series and everything. But like it's really temperature dependent on like the heating of the building and everything. But like, when it was there for the EOS, because there's way more people and they turned the heating on a bit more, I think, than normal. Like the grip was actually pretty good. And I would say it's relatively similar to dirt, but it's just a bit, the grip's a bit more consistent. But obviously, as soon as you're offline, I'm sure like with the concrete stuff you guys race on this, sort of game over. But it's a really fun surface. Like I think it's something completely different from just carpet. I feel like carpet these days is just like, it's just how fast or how hard can you push yourself for 5 minutes instead of like, just trying to drive a really smooth, clean 5 minutes, and you can actually kind of enjoy it instead of just trying to be like for 5 minutes. So, but I really liked workshop. It's something different.
So, Will, also you live now in London. When I met you, you live closer to Hearts, I believe, just outside of London. Where do you race? Do you have a local race area now, or what do you call your home track now?
Yeah, so like I have an indoor race called DMS. You actually might remember it. So they're based in Watford, which is actually literally a 15-minute drive, and they just put us up a track in a gymnasium every week. And they've been running for years. The guys down there, Darren Boyle and Rich Miller, and those guys putting on a pretty good show. So like, it's definitely good to give them a shout out. I mean, Hearts is probably still, I would say, my home, like permanent track. Like I still go there once the outdoors season comes on. That's sort of where I like to do all my racing. Mm-hmm. And probably Stotfold's. That's like Stotfold's a big, was a national track, so it's good. It's a good place to get some good practice. It's really unique because it's really bumpy and super high grip. So it does take quite a lot to get used to if you haven't raced on anything like it. But it's a good challenging track.
So do you do the nationals at all? Do you do the whole national circuit or anything like that still? Are you that deep?
Yeah. Yeah, I still do the whole thing, regionals, nationals, and so on. Just with how life is going at the moment, I'm kind of just doing 2-wheel drive. Mm-hmm. I'll do 4-wheel drive for the odd event, but I'm still doing all the big stuff. So, like, you still got to be in it, really.
Yeah, you haven't even stopped. You from when I met you, you haven't stopped. I haven't either, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, I stopped racing, but I've been into RC ever since. So that's good to see. Most guys, when they get 18, 21, your age, they give up on this. They you meet girls and stuff like that, or whatever you're into. And
hey, you gotta find the balance. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I went to uni. I still enjoyed the whole uni experience of getting drunk, getting with girls and everything.
Did you race during uni?
Yeah, I did. I probably not the best thing to say on here, but there would be a few nights where like I'd go out and then like come back at whatever time o'clock and then go straight to a race.
But you should be doing stuff.
If I wasn't too drunk,
you should be doing stuff.
Like I did. Like I was like 18, 19. Like you think you're invincible and everything, and like so I could kind of afford to do that. And the strange thing was like I don't know why with me, but whenever I was really tired or had like 2 hours sleep, I would generally race better. I don't know if it's like the nerves just don't come in as much, or you're like, I just want to be in sleep. So
I think Max is in that party stage right now. He might be coming out of it a little bit.
No, I mean, I don't know what's happened to me. I haven't been at a student event in like 4 months now.
You got a girlfriend. That's what happened. So now you're all tied on.
Yeah. That has definitely made it a little bit less, active on the student party front. But I don't know. I've been kind of doing more RC now, though. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted people to get a little information about you, Will. You are an RC fanatic. You do race. You do follow the European scene very well. I don't know if you follow the American scene too much, but we're not here to talk about the Americans. We're here to talk about the Europeans. It was EOS Daun. Was this your first time at Daun?
No, it was my third time, actually. So
you go to this race quite often. You know your way around. I assume you have your plan. When did you fly out? You flew out like Thursday, right? No, longer than that.
Yeah. No, I flew out Thursday. I had a mid-afternoon flight about like 2:00-ish. And then I actually joined in with the Raceway 1 guys. So they picked me up and everything. And it was good chilling with them because obviously they do all the media stuff now. So it was a lot to learn with them. I was helping out where I could as well because my background is a bit of social media and websites. So yeah, well, Will's a really nice guy and he's killing it with.
He's done a good job. I enjoy his coverage.
Yeah, he's killing it. I can't fault him. So, and he's working hard. I didn't see him at any point where he had 5 minutes just to relax, but
he's doing a good job.
Doing good.
I enjoyed this guy. I enjoyed the coverage of this period. I did watch the YouTube stream. I thought there weren't no moving cams, but there was for the main. So I did not see that, but I just went back and watched. I really enjoy his commentating while the race is going on. He tells you he knows who's good. In 5 minutes, it's easy to. It's hard to do that over an hour without timing. But I enjoy it, and I enjoy his. He's not English, right?
Irish. I think both of those got. There's Will and Derek. I think most people will know Will, but they're both from Dublin area. So,
so he sounds like a cricket announcer. That's why I like him. He sounds like a cricket announcer. That's why I like him. And he does a good job of what he does. And I watched a lot of his work over the weekend. So prior to this week, they had ETS, which is the touring car segment of this. So did they rip up the whole track and then put on a new track? Because I know that Powell and the guys from the Polish contingent that put on that big Polish, I think it's called the All-Stars race. He's also the guy that does
that's the one.
Yeah, he does the 3D rendering or drawings of the tracks. I know he got to design this track. Him and his guys went up there. I was following his Instagram. What's up, Powell? I met him at the Worlds. He's got a lot of energy. Lots of energy. So do they rip all that up from the ETS, put fresh carpet on, and then build this track? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so ETS and EOS carpet are completely different surfaces. So the ETS stuff is kind of like your box standard, as the UK guys will know, it's primer felt. It's a lot thinner carpet. It's not really any give to it. But what I understand is they did the whole ETS, packed it up, and I think they had the haul free. I might be wrong, but they had the haul free for like 2-3 days. And then they came straight back in and did the EOS, which EOS is like a slightly different carpet. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It'd probably be like, so slightly thicker carpet. It's got more like loose fibers on it, but it's used like kind of like for event trade shows. It's how
it has like these loops. Like normal carpet is just like fibers, but the EOS carpet has like these loops. So it's like really small loops. That's why it's like very high grip. And yeah, I guess like something like rubber mat in an office, something like that. Not rubber, like what you call it, carpet flooring at an office. You had that like little give in a carpet, but it has those little loops.
Mm-hmm.
It has like this give, which I think it's really nice to have on the EOS carpet. It gives that a little bit easy to feel drive when it's new, but the problem is it kind of wears out quite quickly.
Was this all new carpet then for this?
Yeah, from what I heard, they did one race just to make sure it was fine, but then it was brand new. So like the benefits with this EOS stuff and it's brand new is tire wear is amazing. You don't have to worry about it too much.
Now, do you guys have a spec tire for this event?
Yeah, so it's the Schumacher tires. So it's Schumacher cuts Cactus in the rears, cut Seggers up front, and then for four-wheel drive, it's a Cactus Fusion 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have a limited amount that you can buy, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think what they used to do is like 3 sets and then 1 for the A-main guys extra, something like that.
Yeah, so it's actually so So you can have two for, if you're in like anywhere other than the A mains, you get 2 sets for, well, you can buy 2 sets for qualifying and finals. But if you make the A main, you can get another set. So normally what most guys do is use 2 new sets in qualifying and then just reuse them for finals. And if you're A main, obviously you'll just put a new set of tires on.
Interesting. What did you think of the track? I know it's a unique, the way that Daun is, it's a rectangle, but then it has that other rectangle that goes out to the middle of it. I guess that's the best way to explain it. For people that haven't seen it, I'll post a link to the coverage in the written description of this podcast. I'll put it up actually, so we can have a look at it. But it's a very unique layout, very unique shaped track. It's also, it probably limits it because you have to add in that square. I saw it was very like not at the very right side coming off the straight. It was very, I would say, very touring car-ish with that long sweeper. And then that reminded me of touring car. And you had some doubles, not as jumpy as say when I went to this race, which is the Florida Carpet Championships, more American style, a lot more jumps, still high speed as well. So what did you think of the track? Obviously they changed it around. Did they actually change the footprint from last year, or how does that work?
Yeah, so like, I think probably to start it off was like, I feel like the tracks in the last few years, they've kind of dropped down a little bit. Like there used to be bigger jumps and they made it a little bit smaller, but it seemed like with this, the Race Star Poland guys, like it kind of brought back those great EOS tracks. Now, when I saw the drawings, that was the first thing I saw, the right-hand side. I thought was, I don't want to say it bad, but it just felt a little bit too flat. And I thought like you could put like a wall of death or something. But once we got there, like everything felt a little bit smaller than I remembered. So I was kind of, okay, actually, I can see why he did that. But the track, it was good. Like it was nice to have some, for us, it was good jumps. I know compared to you guys, you'd probably want bigger jumps. And so would I, to be fair. I think we need bigger jumps in Europe. But it was actually quite a jumpy track, and you really had to time a lot of the down ramps, especially to jump in the far in front of you. The landing was a bit too small. So like you really had to sort of make sure you landed it perfectly. Otherwise you'd end up clipping the top of the jump or your flat chassis and then just roll, or you'll go too far forwards. So that was like the biggest thing I noticed with the track. But it was cool. You had to drive it clean. I think that was the main thing. And because of how the timetable worked, there was only 3 rounds of qualifying for everyone. Mm-hmm. So if it was all like you had to get those 2 clean runs in. That was sort of the key to it.
It was huge. That's the other thing. It was a lot of entries. I'm looking at the entry list for 2-wheel drive, and I'm assuming everybody that ran 2-wheel drive ran 4-wheel drive. It was 138 people, and this is mod people. This is for our American friends. This is all mod. There is a stock class there, but the mod is the more popular class there in Europe. This was a big event, dude.
Yeah, biggest in EOS history.
Really?
Biggest entry count, yes.
So they have to do, also they do it a little different. They do qualify. So you started Friday, right? Or it was Thursday?
Yeah.
So run us through what happens run us through the schedule, because it's like 2-wheel drive and truck and all of that on the Friday, and then Saturday they switch over to 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, so basically Friday is mainly 2-wheel drive mod, 13.5 2-wheel drive, and then actually 13.5 stadium truck. So that's all done on Friday. So there's 1 free practice, which is obviously still in heat order, and then there was 2 rounds of seeding, and then we went straight into 3 rounds of qualifying. So then Saturday, it kind of made it a little bit difficult because you're going straight into finals. Obviously, you have just 1 or 2 laps just as a warm-up if you're lucky, and then you're just straight into it. So everyone got 2 finals, unless you made the A main, then you got 3. And then after that, you go straight into 4-wheel drive seeding, not even a free practice. And then I think we did 2 rounds of 4-wheel drive qualifying on Saturday, and then Sunday was just a rest. And then obviously that was 4-wheel drive, 13.5 4-wheel, and mod stadium truck. So it's really packed. Like I've been to I think almost 10 EOSs now. I was speaking with the guys the Brits the other days, and jokingly the running joke now is I'm the EOS veteran. So, but yeah, I've been to quite a lot. So I have to admit this was the biggest one by far, and some really long days.
Yeah, what was a long day for you? Like, I want to know, what do you consider a long day?
I mean, I think we were in the hall like on the Friday by 7 and then finished by like 10:30, 11.
Oh, that is long. That is long for Europe.
Yeah, for Europe. I mean, most EOSs, if it's like a decent turnout, you'll finish normally maximum like 7, 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So this is long, and especially, basically you just go to EOS, you go straight into it, and then you travel straight back. So it's not like you have any time to sort of recover. So
also, how big is this? So you have stock 2-wheel drive buggy and 4-wheel drive buggy, and it's what, 13.5 for 4-wheel drive and 17.5 for 2-wheel drive? Or how does
I think
let's see.
I think it's 2-wheel drive stock was 13.5, and then 4-wheel drive is actually 10.5. So I think I know that's faster than what the Americans run, but I don't know, just because it's carpet, so like it just makes sense to have a higher motor. But I feel like it works out enough. I've definitely noticed over the years stock is growing massively, especially at EOS. Like when I did it a few years ago, it was maybe 1-2 heats maximum. But now, I mean, there was like I think maybe 2-wheel drive. There was like 6-7 heats of 13.5. So yeah, it was quite crazy. It was 3, 5, 6, whatever it was. It was still like a way bigger than I remember. So like there was some guys are getting quite quick in there. So
are they teching people? Really are they teching motors like they do in America?
So there's a handout motor. So the 2-wheel drive guys, they got like I think it's an LRP motor. I think those are the guys who are sponsoring it. And then obviously you run the ESC and Blinky or whatever it is. So they have guys, you have to scrutinize your car before every run. So I didn't hear it.
For our American friends, scrutineering is tech. And if you hear him...
so just tech.
Yes, if you hear him say something like rostrum, it's the driver stand. They have different words in the UK. All right, we're watching A1 here. This is from Raceway 1. We just saw, we might as well get right into A1 or 2-wheel drive, because I think we're going to focus on 2-wheel drive mod and 4-wheel drive mod. Brock Champlin ran away. Well, hold on, we got to get to qualifying first. But Brock Champlin just demolished everybody in qualifying. Everybody in 2-wheel drive. Like, came out like I was shocked. I didn't think he was going to go over there and do that. I thought he'd win he'd win a round or something like that, but he dominated 2-wheel drive. Tell me about that. That must have been a shock for you, for the European guys.
Yeah, like, I mean, I heard last minute they were going, because Lee told me they were going to Switzerland and Brock was going. So I didn't even think much of it. But I mean, I've got to give it. The guy just came and basically just painted the town red, like straight from the get-go. I feel like because these jumps are a lot bigger than usual, and you guys have big jumps in America, maybe that was an advantage for him. Because I could see that the guy he knows how to whip. Like, I will not take that away from him. So I don't know if that was an advantage, or like, because I feel like even I saw the Florida carpet champs, like, there's so long between heats and so on, so you kind of got to make that 5 minutes count. I might be talking bullshit, but like, this is just what I think. But I mean, no excuses. A guy, I mean, he absolutely killed it. Like, he's found something in there.
Was you shocked
on that weekend?
Was you shocked that he came over there?
Yeah, I was really shocked, because I thought Orlowski was just going to come in and, as usual, he would dominate. But I mean, Brock came in, and I thought the same. Brock would be like, like a top 3 at least, like, because he's not used to the Schumacher tires. I feel like they gave more grip and stuff, and he wouldn't be used to that. But yeah, he came out and just cleaned up.
So he went to Switzerland as well?
Yeah, so some of the Schumacher guys, they were in Switzerland doing all the practice. So yeah, so I mean, I know they've got some new guys on board. So I think him, Kovacic, Martin, and then Michael and Trish and stuff all out there for a few days.
Kovacic and Martin on the same team. Ooh, they must have not. Ooh. You know who had a good Lee? Lee was in both A-mains, and he was in that A1. He was in second, and Kovacic hit him. Like, and I don't know why he hit him, and they both went back down to like last, because it took so long for the marshal to get there. But that was just a thing that I saw in the final. Lots of mistakes. But I just had to say that. Back to qualifying. I think Mika was second. I think. Was it Wiedemeyer that was second? Check
yeah, Mika's like...
Yeah, 2-wheel drive.
Yeah, Mika's like... Yeah, Mika with his S-Works. Like, he's been killing it with that S-Works as well. Like, I'll be honest, like in my eyes, it doesn't look like it's going that well, but the way he's driving it, like, says otherwise.
Well, S-Works is pushing right now. They're pushing the 10 scale market in Europe as well as America. But I think they're viable contenders now. They got Yorn. They probably need to get, they got Mika, but I would think they would need to get maybe a top. Not saying that Mika isn't. He's a very good carpet racer, but maybe like I don't know who would fit their bill. But we know Boots and Canas aren't really going to race much 10 scale. So they need to
They have Clement Boda.
Yes,
he's not not someone who you predict to win the world, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. They need somebody that I think can win a worlds with their 10 scale car. I'm not saying that Mika, he's not good, and the guys they have aren't good, but S-Works is definitely putting their foot, like throwing their glove or throwing their dog into the fight for the 10 scale, and you can see it because right now in Europe it's UK, it's X-Ray now. It was good to see them come back as well, but you have X-Ray, Schumacher, AE, and now S-Works. Those are the four main brands, with Schumacher and X-Ray and probably AE being the bigger ones of those ones, but those are the four main brands. It's good to see. It just looked like he had some bad luck in his mains, I think, but he was flying in qualifying. Who else was impressive in qualifying in two-wheel drive?
Oh man, I mean, Kirup as well. Like we were all on the associated team, and he had some crazy pace. Like, I don't know, I can't remember where he finished in the end, but him and then Alexander Landon.
Mm-hmm. Who is this Alexander Landon? That's why I want to know. Who is he?
He's a Swedish
So Max actually
driver.
might know better than me. Yeah, Swedish driver.
He's a Swedish driver. He used to drive for X-Ray for a very long time. He was this young kid who, the Swedish 10 scale scene isn't that big. Like, it has always like kind of struggled a bit. They used to race like outdoors a lot more. Like, that was more popular. So he won like already as like a kid, like he was probably like 12 or something. He won a lot of the South Swedish Cups and stuff like that. And then at some point, like carpet racing really picked up in Sweden a lot. And then you started coming up with these really fast kids like Elias Johansson and Alexander Landon also came up to be like one of the top guys in Sweden. There was a few others, but I think like Paulson has a track, David has his track. There's lots of like big indoor tracks these days in Sweden. So Alexander London has been like the young and up-and-comer kid in 10 scale in Sweden. And now that he has like the tracks, the competition and all that, now he sort of is at his full potential. And he's also coming a bit older, I think. I would expect him to be like something like 18, 17 right now, around there, under 20 still. But like now he's sort of getting to the, you know, peak of the curve, you know, like when you're a kid, you get a little bit better, and then you hit like that sharp peak. And I think he's hitting it right now. So he's had some pretty decent results recently, and this is one of them.
Is he an associated driver?
Yeah, he's now associated. I think he made the switch a year or two back, a couple of years back, might be before COVID, but yeah, he made the switch from X-Ray. He was with X-Ray for a very long time, and then he switched over to AE. And yeah, I think this was his first like really good result, because if I'm not wrong, he ended up finishing in. Well, he made the A in both, and he ended up finishing quite high up, somewhere around top 5, a little bit lower probably, but yeah, around the top 5 here. So he had a really good weekend, to be honest.
Okay. So let's talk about A1 then. So A1, Connor Brock got out to a lead from, as they say, from lights to flags, or flags to lights, whatever. I heard Tom Cockrell say that. I thought it was a great saying. I thought that Orlowski, when he got across Mika, I thought he was going to put up a challenge, but then he came off that, he jumped that double, like that had the spray paint on his side, on the second lane, on the front straight, and he got caught up on that little rubber eyelet right there, and I was just like, oh man, like That was such a sneaky. That looked so hard because that's flexible. It looked like, I saw Brock like carve that so close so many times, but that caught Orlowski out, and that ended any type of challenge for him. And then I think it was Karap. I think Karap came up from behind, I believe. Let's see. He got he got he got fifth. But who came up behind? I was just watching this, man.
London. Alexander London.
Right. Okay, so this was the A1 was the incident with Kovacic and Lee Martin, because they were actually fighting for second when that happened. And that was a dumb move on Kovacic's part. Like, I don't know how he hit Martin like that. Martin must have been fuming. I would have been fuming. But Martin was pretty good. Like, he's having a good, debut with the Schumacher cars on the carpet. I like Kovacic too. I got to meet him at the Florida race. But great. Brock from start to finish. He wins that. We go on to A2. It'll be a little closer. You'll see Mika and Orlowski kind of stay behind him, and they made a little train, and he wasn't getting away. And then you saw Karap. That's when he came, and he was just like, how like you can just, when I'm watching a stream, you just see like a wheel of a guy coming around the corner, and I'm watching the main. You're like, oh, that guy's coming. Like, you see him in your peripheral vision. Well, that's what I kind of felt with Karap. And I'm like, here comes the Dane. And he just came. And I think Mika made a mistake. And maybe him and Orlowski kind of touched a little bit. But, man, he got into second, I think. And I think he got second. Let me make sure I'm saying the right things here. He got into second. And I thought he was going to catch Brock. But he couldn't. But, man, he showed some incredible pace, that young man. He's incredible.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the most impressive of the, the Hall brothers. I guess Kovacic to some extent, still a young driver. But Karap is definitely, in my opinion, like shows the most promise of becoming like the next Orlowski kind of character. I mean, he's already a European champion at, I believe, a younger age than what Michael was when he won. So I'd expect. I don't know how good he's on dirt. Like someone like Joona is like super good on dirt, not the best on carpet, but Karap is like really good on Astro carpet and stuff like that. So I'd be interested to see how he does in the Worlds. But definitely the Euros this year is built again like a very, very top end contender.
He's your teammate, Will. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I actually haven't. Obviously, I pitted close with him and a bit of Halls, but I haven't actually spoken. I've spoken a bit with his dad, but I mean, yeah, the kid, like, he has this ridiculous pace. I mean, I feel like he has quite an aggressive driving style, but it seems like whenever he gets behind someone, he's kind of like almost intimidating them into like a mistake. But like, he just has it. Yeah, like he had all this pace even in four wheel. He was just on it. To be honest, I can't really say anything else. He was just on it.
Yeah, I mean that's what he did at the Euros this year too. Like when he got in Florida, when he got out front, he was just like kept going fast. Like that's impressive about him.
Yeah, he was flying in four-wheel drive. We'll talk about that because he got in some trouble in A1 of four-wheel drive or leg one of four-wheel drive. But Mika would come in. I just want to go through the top 10 here. Mika would end up in third in that run, and the kid, Alexander Landon in fourth. But yeah, I think overall, I mean, Brock wins it in two. I think nobody could have predicted that, but after TQ qualifying, he was probably one of the favorites going into four-wheel drive the next day. I thought after that dominating performance, he was going to clean up in four-wheel drive, but we would have more to say about that. What's your thoughts on that, Max? What he did say this. Brock said that this carpet was very grippy. I heard him do an interview. It's very different from what he's used to in America.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that Brock has been really, really good in four-wheel drive in America, but then sometimes he struggled with two-wheel drive. And for example, at the Florida Carpet Nationals, like there, Orlowski was much more comfortable in two-wheel drive than Brock, but then in four-wheel drive, those two were kind of matched. So like I'm very I'm very surprised why that difference is. Like I haven't driven on the USA carpet, so it's hard to say. But I do think that the sort of design style of the Schumacher car really suits the EOS carpet. And the way Brock drives, especially over jumps, where he really aggressively, shoots down jumps, whereas Orlowski lets the car like roll much more. That's something I think is to his advantage. And then what Will said about the layout, that definitely, this layout was one of my favorites in a long, long time at EOS. I think what Will said is actually right. Like the EOS layout has been going the worst direction for a while, but this was a very nice one. And being a layout like this, where there's more jumps, more like rhythm, not really rhythm sections, but having the rhythm, the jump, turn, keeping the rhythm up. I think that's something that Orlowski generally isn't as comfortable with. So, I mean, even Orlowski had he ended up beating, Lee and Kovacic, but at some point Lee and Kovacic was in front of him too. So Orlowski had a tough weekend, and then Brock performed at a very good level. And that's just that resulted in him dominating because, I think Schumacher is a bit ahead of the competition in especially, high speed EOS carpet tracks. On Astro, A is much closer in my opinion, but all those things sort of go together. And then Brock being comfortable with the car, where the car works, having a layout that sort of suits him. And let's be honest, he is still, I'd say probably one of the fastest, at least top 5 fastest carpet drivers in the world. And I would say he's probably top 3, So it's not he was expected to do bad here. I mean,
no,
it would have been weird if he didn't finish in the top 3, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. How about you? What was your final thoughts on that? And then we'll move on to 4-wheel drive. Will,
on 2-wheel drive, or Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of agree with a lot of the things Max just said. Then I feel like the EOS tracks and generally European tracks, we haven't got the massive jumps and kind of sort of the tracks that we had at EOS this weekend. So I feel like for the American guys, it kind of would suit someone a bit more like Brock, where you had to be really precise with all the jumps and carry that speed. Because it feels like in Europe, because the jumps are smaller, you're always trying to just carry that speed, but then you forget about or the jumps are in the way, or you're not used to it. And I do think that makes a massive difference when you're not comfortable with that, because as everyone knows, to be fast in RC, you got to have confidence. Otherwise, you're just going to crash. It's just that simple.
Yeah. And I think to add on to that, it's just this EOS carpet. It's almost like you're driving a pan car, It's not when you're driving on a regular carpet, it's more you're driving a sort of touring car style car where you try to be smooth, go around it. But this EOS carpet, it's really, it has a little bit of give, but then the car shoots to one direction. So you have to be super precise, but you still have to push a lot sort of over the limit. So it's almost like you're driving a pan car, and then there's jumps on the track, and especially combine that with usually European jumps are really, really bad. Not only are they small, they are just they throw up the car in the air weirdly. So you don't have to really focus on downsiding the jump good. You just have to focus on getting over it nicely. And here it's that's the key. The jumps are easy to do, but they're hard to do fast, And Brock has that part really well down because, Americans generally are much better at jumping, and they're much used to tracks like this where there are jumps like that. The overall layout is still very European, in my opinion, not very American, but just the jumps are not very European style. And yeah, I think, that aggressive style of Brock also works really well with this style of track. So and he did superiorly as well.
So they don't do bump ups, sure. Right? Will, no bump ups?
No.
Okay. So just
no bump ups.
Yeah, just going over our top. So it's just 10. As Dagani would say, this is a real A main with only 10 people. Let's go over your top 10 here, because Karap actually did win leg 3. So it would be Brock Champlin, Marcus Karap, Mika Widemeyer, Alexander Landon, Mike Orlowski, Lee Martin. I think that's a good result for him. Martin Beyer. Wow. The X-Ray comes back and he makes the man. Daniel Kobovic, Jorn Newman, and the UK's Tommy Hall. Notables in this: Pecco, Justin 11th, Max, the great Finnish hope.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I think he won both. In four drive he was 13, but
no, he got a 1 and a 4.
Yeah, but yeah, Pecco, I mean, to be honest, like, this guy's been in the forest for the past month.
Oh, has he been he's been in the army? That's correct.
Yeah, he's been in the army, and the only times he's gotten out, he was at ETS last week and then now at EOS. So, like, I mean, I was a bit surprised he even went, but I mean, I guess it's good experience.
I guess you can be a pro RC, chase your dreams even when you're in the army. Also notable was Bartosz Zalewski, the Polish, the young Pole, who did make the 4-wheel drive main. And then I got a shout out to Berkan Kilic.
Not only did he make the main, he finished in the podium.
Yeah, exactly. He's another one that's up and coming, and we got to look out for. All right, we're actually watching leg 1 of the 4-wheel drive main. If you're tuning in on YouTube, if you are tuning on YouTube, remember to hit that subscribe notification, leave a like or dislike and a comment, and share. Help us grow this YouTube channel. And also, this video is courtesy of Raceway One. I will leave a link for this in the written description of the podcast. Okay, let's move into 4-wheel drive. So we didn't see the domination of this from Brock. In fact, it was this time around, it was his teammate, Orlowski, who we thought would be the guy to do this. And I mean, Orlowski I'm trying to find qualifying ranking list now. Orlowski, I think he won all 3, followed by Bartosz Zalewski. Great run for him.
Yeah.
Brock Champlin.
Polish lockout on the front row.
Yeah, exactly. Is Zalewski's X-ray correct, Will?
Yeah, he's X-ray. He was actually the only X-ray in that 4-wheel drive final, which I was actually really surprised with, because the X-ray cars always seem to be really strong on the carpet. But
what a great result! Just making that and being second for that young man, the first time X-Ray is back at EOS in how many years? That's awesome. Congratulations to him.
He made the podium last year too. I think he was here too. So he's been really good. And in Poland, they race a lot on EOS carpet.
Yeah.
And he's like really close to Michael there. So
he was good at the Worlds for 8 scale too. He was pretty fast.
Yeah. He's a young driver, and he's also like very, like, they focus on, like being a professional driver, they're practicing with some actual idea behind that. So
I know Pavel wants to come in there and talk about it. I tell him he needs to do a video about it. He needs to do a video of it. The hand-eye coordination stuff. But he's definitely one to look up. Speaking of, Karap was good at the Worlds as well in 8 scale. So this is another a young man we have to add to that list of who to watch for. But Orlowski takes all 3. Karap does. I think he takes looks like he got a. I wish they really just gave you the positions that they finished and not the points in this. Please, my RCM.
Yeah, Cairo passed the 2nd and the 5th. But it's not my RCM. It's the one who does the lap counting. You can do it in my RCM the way it's more sensible.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get to this. So, Orlowski, Schumacher dominant again in this. Orlowski, but the racing was a little bit close in her. It wasn't. I mean, Orlowski did win it in 2. But it was a little bit more close. Karap, man, I have to. Okay, let's talk about A1, because Karap made that he hit Lee in that. Not sorry, he hit Brock in that curve. That sweeper coming off the straightaway. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't slid down. I haven't really watched it. Right, but they let it go, and then but after that, Zaleski made that mistake in that jump, and then that kind of let him and Corrupt get it. But that pass that Corrupt made on him through that chicane to come on the front straightaway, woof! I was like, oof. That was some good driving. Will, did you see the incident? What was your thoughts on that?
So is this with Brock and Corrupt? Yeah. So I was actually you might be able to see in this video, I'm not sure, but I was standing right next to Will, so I saw it sort of literally in front of my eyes. My opinion was Corrupt got a really good line onto the straight, and he was already in the inside, and he was basically already in front of Brock. And then they tapped, like, it was a tap. It wasn't like anyone got taken out, but it was a tap. But so in my opinion, I think Brock should have yielded if I was in that position. So in my opinion, it's just hard racing. But I know some guys, they think it was actually a takeout.
Brock went ape shit afterward, didn't he?
Because I was really surprised it actually went through. I just thought it was just normally in Europe you just let something like that go. But then I guess as Brock went to Scotty or race control, then they agreed. They said otherwise.
Yeah, he got penalized on the next race. He had to start in last, right?
I think he had a 5-second penalty. I think that was what happened. So I think he had second.
But they did it. And they did it in a weird way where his actual finishing time was 18 laps, 5:14. Mm-hmm. But then they switched it so that he had 17 laps, 5:02. So they gave the 5-second penalty, but they gave it like a lap before. So they, like, if they just gave it a 5-second penalty on top of his like ending time, he would have ended up fourth in that main. But now he ended up all the way in 7th. So I don't know, like that penalty was very weirdly given because and the thing is like he still is in front of Brock. So it wasn't like they wanted to place him behind Brock. So very weird way of giving a penalty, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I'm pretty sure that Brock was going apeshit after this. I would have had my camera on that driver's stand as soon as this race would have been on.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to say, because this seems to happen quite a lot at, I'd say EOS, but like big races where there's some form of refereeing, but not very official type of refereeing. Like penalties are not given until someone like really complains about it. Like someone gets mad and is like, hey, he needs a penalty, whatever. Then they like give someone a penalty. So effectively, it's not that, there are rules and you ought to follow them. It's that there are rules that are only enforced if someone gets pissed off enough, which obviously I don't know all the, things behind the scenes, but I've seen this happen before at EOS. Someone complain about it, they've given a penalty, perhaps this wasn't EOS, but a race in Europe anyway. Well, I think it should be much more clear-cut. And also the way this penalty is given, like how on earth could you... Like you can't say you drop Marcus behind Brock, which is because it didn't happen. So that's not the way you did the penalty. But you added, they've added 5 seconds, but not to his ending time before the time, before the final lap.
So they docked him a lap and added 5 seconds.
Well, not really. What they did was they took the time he had before the last lap and then added 5 seconds. And because that went over 5 minutes, then that was declared as his finishing time. So it was a super complicated way to give a penalty. And still, he finished in front of Brock. So it's like...
I'm lost. I'm not even trying to figure it out. I'm not trying to figure it out.
I know what they did, and I can see why they did it, because he made the pen, he touched him before the last lap, so they ended it, like they put the time of the penalty, mid-race, but it's just, in my opinion, doing it like this is a bit odd. You know,
so they don't have referees here, just the RD, right, Will?
Yeah, just the race director, Scotty. So, like, because one thing I was going to say, that one of the first things I noticed when I started racing in Europe was how the driving standards, like, sorry if this upsets anyone, but like, are definitely like not sort of what I was used to in the UK. Like, it seems like everyone's just so rough, and especially some of the younger guys, like, they take literally any single opportunity, even if it's sort of not there. And I feel like, especially with that kind of driving, you could really do with a referee, like, especially with something like EOS. They actually had a referee at a workshop, but I mean, that's not the same as like I think EOS.
Yeah. I think Will is a good example to have here, because the UK, of all the countries in Europe, they are like the most
strict,
strict in refereeing, you know, like in Finland and in Sweden, like in northern countries, we do have referees usually, but we are like quite lenient, you know, people generally drive quite clean, but like, so we don't have that refereeing culture. But someone like Stetson and people like that, these guys are like the strictest referees I've ever seen anywhere. And they actually do their job too. So it's not like they just referee when they see something, they like watch around, you know, do stuff like that. But at EOS, that has kind of never been the case. I'd say probably because Scotty runs it, so it's more to like, he's used to a more American style, you know, where it's kind of like not so like he still gives penalties and he's quite fair, but it's not so like organized as the UK style of like refereeing is.
Right. Like that hit with Kopovic. I'm sorry, like I don't think anybody would have waited that long in America. They'd have been like, no, I gotta go. And but that was, to credit, that was a good wait by Kopovic. He did wait for him.
Yeah,
I keep coming to that because that was such a long wait. But
yeah, I think at EOS, what mostly has been done is Scotty usually, like, there isn't like in UK racing and racing under EFRA, there's things like stop and goes. It's like, hey, you have a penalty about this. But at EOS, Scotty usually is a bit more, you know, hands-on with it. So oftentimes he says you gotta wait, or you gotta let the guy by you, you know, stuff like that. So that's why, you know, Kovic, for example, there, he knew he'd probably get called off by Scotty because he's raced at EOS for so long. So he waited, you know, because Scotty would have told him to do so anyway. But I think the issue comes when like Scotty on his own can't really see everything. And if you have a give a penalty afterwards and you don't really have a proper rule book on how it is. So it's a bit of a gray area at the US because there's a form of refereeing, but it isn't like written down like black and white.
Okay. All right. So let's finish off on four-wheel drive. Let me go back to the ranking lists here. So Arlausi takes it in 2. Brock Champlin managed to take it to finish 2nd. Still a great result for Brock. Zalaski, great result for the young Pole. 3rd. I think he can be very happy with that. How old is this guy? Do you know, Will? I think he's like 16, I want to say.
I think he's 14. Like he's really young. I mean, he's tiny, like on the driver's stand. So
yeah, I believe he's 14 or 15. Pavel has told me a lot about him, and Johanna and Pekko also, they went to Poland to race, and they said like he was really, really fast. You know, Johanna and Pekko both are fast drivers, and like he's definitely on carpet one of the fastest kids, like alongside Karup and these guys. But I still want to see Zalewski, you know, have that sort of variety, you know, not only on carpet should he be fast, but on other surfaces as well. Like Karup, for example, he's very good on like all kinds of carpets, you know, not only on EOS carpet, not only sometimes tracks, he's good on all kinds of like high grip tracks. Kind of like I put Zalewski and the Hall brothers a little bit to, you know, the same box where they are fast, you know, Hall brothers in UK and then on carpet, obviously, Zalewski in, you know, Poland and on carpet. but they don't have that sort of wide, range.
They're still young, though. I think Tom is like, what, 16,
for sure.
17?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
18, maybe?
I'm not putting them down.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, that's where...
I think Corrupt's just maybe a little bit in front of them, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, for example, Orlowski, he can race on any surface. He's always going to be good. One of the top in the world on any surface. Like, to reach that level, that's what drivers like Zalewski and the Hall brothers have to improve on. And I think Kairup is closer. He's not there, obviously, yet, but he's closer than Zalewski and the Hall brothers.
Okay.
So, but this, I think it's amazing how, like, every time, like, someone like Orlowski starts to be, it used to be Neumann. When he got, like, over 20, became to be like a normal name in top 10 scale. Then Orlowski came up. Johan Hartonen came up. These guys. And then when those guys grew older, then now you have the Hall brothers, the Karup, So it's like in Europe, there seems to be a very consistent, progression of new drivers. And that's really interesting to see. And I don't know why it is, but it's always in 10 scale. I think it has something to do with like the short season, because we rarely get to race a full 8 scale season unless it's in Spain or like Portugal, perhaps in southern Italy, but not in northern Italy, definitely.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue, but we're going to segue to that in a second. I just wanted to get Will's final thoughts on four-wheel drive before we move on to some of my afterthoughts I have here.
Yeah, I feel like four-wheel drive was kind of sort of what everyone was sort of expecting. Like Orlowski just sort of, I know those guys got a brand new car. They've done a lot of testing of it. So I think sort of Orlowski felt sort of pretty at home with that. And especially that they're the Polish race star jumps. So I feel like that has like something to do with it as well. So he already knows like to deal with it. He's done it a million times. Maybe the same with Zalewski as well. There's maybe a confidence factor there, but I mean, I feel like forward was just sort of what you expected. I mean, I feel like Clement was sort of one of the guys I wouldn't have expected to make the A main there, but he did. So that's sort of my closing thoughts.
Yeah, I met Clement at the RCGP UK. Him and his dad. I wouldn't surprise. I'm surprised that he made it. I can't expect him to be making these now. He's probably the next big talent coming out of France. There, 10 scale wise, maybe 8 scale wise too. You'll see. But I think he's good enough, and he should be in the plethora of young talent that Europe has in the 10 scale program is utterly amazing. I mean, let's segue to that anyway. I mean, we got Tommy Hall, who I think is very impressive. Bill, you know these guys a little bit more intimately. AE guy, AE is got they got Karup, they still got Neil Craig who switched to hot race. By the way, I just saw that. Still got Neil Craig who can make these mains as well. They got not just make these mains. I mean, he could literally top 3 podium, probably win if everything falls right for him, I think. AE is very strong. Like they have a very good youth team coming up. Because what are your thoughts on that? Like, what would you compare? What if you had to rank these young guys right now? I know Tommy Hall's UK. You got to do it for the king now, not the queen. Where would you rank these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to start off with Tommy. I know the guys pretty well, and I really think Tommy will be something. I mean, he showed obviously a lot of potential at the Euros, and the fact that he's going, he came to this EOS, which is a really competitive one, and he
came to America.
He was pretty competitive. Yeah, he came to America as well, and did he finish top 5? I think in 2-wheel. He
made both mains in a stacked race.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of potential there for Tommy, and I think right now, I mean, hopefully, I know he's just finishing sort of high school, you could say. So I think he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. But I think if he can just spend a year and just travel, I think he'll be right up there. Because at the moment, I know he probably won't like me to say this, but I feel like Karup probably has, at least from that EOS, that tiny bit more speed. But I mean, I feel like Tommy's a really consistent driver. In the UK, he's one of those guys now where he'll just do 5 minutes and you don't have to worry about anything, but there's so many drivers out there that I don't want to say Corrupt does crash, but like I've seen Corrupt where he'll be ballistic and then sometimes he'll have like a small bobble or a mistake that'll stop him. But I feel like Tommy, he's got that head space and he can do that 5 minutes really clean. And obviously racing with guys like Lee and Neil in the UK, I feel like will just help him get that extra confidence because he knows how he can beat those guys.
Yeah, Tommy, the way Tommy goes around the track for like, when you look at it for a 5-minute run, he reminds me a lot of like Neil, you know, like both are very calm, drive, like they just drive. There's no fuss about it, you know, from the UK, you know, there are drivers like, I think Lee is a bit more, you know, on and off, but Neil is sort of like, he just goes on track, he does what he does and that's it, you know, he's like so calm about it. And I think Tommy has that similar quality.
I have a question for you, though, Max and Will. Zaleski does 8 scale. Was at the Worlds. Corrupt at the Worlds does 8 scale. Clement does 8 scale, too. Do you think that, does Tommy Hall do 8 scale, or does it strictly 10 scale? Or I believe he's going to have to do something.
So he did actually do a year of 10 scale nationals last year before the year, 2021, where there wasn't any 10 scale nationals.
Okay.
So they were actually really competitive. They were into A mains basically straight away. And I think he even podiumed at one of them. So, but I think their plan is they just want to focus on 10 scale for now and just sort of build that up because that's where the guys are sort of doing their best at the moment. But I definitely think they'll come back to 8 scale. Like they're no slouching it at all.
Well, I think they need it. I think it's beneficial to their program. Well, Ronson.
Well, yeah, potentially. I think it will definitely help with the confidence side and just racing against faster guys. And you learn a lot from 8 scale. I mean, I know all these 8 scale guys. There's so much you can learn from it and transfer into 10 scale, which is like the longer finals. Like I think it will teach you a lot of racecraft. I'm not saying that he has bad racecraft, but like you can learn so much from that kind of thing.
I agree. All right. A couple of thoughts I had her after this race. Great to see Brock over there. I would love to see a Dakota fan, Ryan Mayfield, got Cav over there again. I hope they do come. You can just see, like, Americans want to follow Americans. So they're going to pay attention to EOS when it's an American there. I believe there are people that are going to pay attention to it. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, I feel that I would love to see more Americans come to church. I know these guys have a super busy schedule, but it would be great to see these guys come over here and race more, and vice versa. The Europeans go to America a lot, but I would like to see them come over to do this. How great is it X-Ray is back at the EOS. How long did they stay out of this voluntarily? So we should see Bruno at the next EOS, hopefully. Yeah,
I feel like it wasn't actually that long. I feel it was maybe a year or so. I don't know the ins and outs of what actually happened. From what I understand, there was like a situation that happened with the Reinhardt.
Yeah, that's what happened. You could say it. You said it before.
There's
Reinhardt. There's beef.
Yeah, so basically there's some sort of beef going on, but I think now like they're kind of trying to settle it down a bit. And they came back. I mean, it was great to see them because I do feel like they bring a really nice atmosphere to it, and especially having Matt like Bayer, Bruno, and Gottsel and stuff, and Martin Benitez, like it adds like to the field and it makes it more competitive. But obviously those guys they're really sound guys, to be honest, like off the track. They're really sound. So I hope they really come back into EOS and maybe ETS, because I feel like Bruno's kind of that benchmark in touring cars. So I feel like if he comes back to ETS, that's really going to push everyone again. So, but I agree. But yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens.
I agree. What's your thoughts on that, Max? Yeah. You happy to see X-Ray back in the mix?
Oh, 100%. I think, this race was a really good race for many reasons. One, for showcasing, the new talent in Europe. Most of the top guys were there. Even Brock was there over from America. And still these young guys are there, fighting for it. So it's like they can consistently get up there, and they have, the level needed to become like top challengers. So that was a positive. Then track, back to these amazing EOS tracks. I remember when I raced EOS, very actively in 2017. I raced all of them. or was it? 2016, 2017 winter. I raced every single EOS. That was the year where I think the tracks were really nice. Then the year forwards, 2018, 2019, those seasons were still good. But then, like, just before COVID and then during COVID, it went a lot downhill. I think this was a really good step in the right direction, different colored for the infields, new carpet looks nice, jumps are really good, really flowing layout. It looks good. Like that's a big thing on its own, that it looks professional, looks nice. And then also that there aren't any weird jumps or like odd looking things, I think that was a really nice positive thing about this event. And then the last to say is I think the Raceway One coverage of EOS and the Euro RC series, I think the YouTube channel is called, is I think this last 2 week stint of ETS EOS, that to me at least has been like, all right, these guys are doing it really well. Looking at the YouTube channel, they even have, extra interviews, like extra recaps. So it's not only that they do a live stream and then chop it up in the end, they do also other content. It looks more than just a, one camera live stream. There's more in it. And I think all of these things are, and also the X-ray joining back.
And the website. They do written write-ups too.
100%. Yeah, the written write-ups they have been good for a year or so already. But like, that's just, I think from the media side, things coming together, the track side, it looks good. The talent is there. Now we have X-ray back. So we have, a big manufacturer in Europe and it's still a big pool of talent. It's Coelho, one of the best drivers in the world, and then Bayer, Götzl, these guys. So all of that sort of came together at this race, although Coelho wasn't there, but, they announced that he would be there on the next round. I think this race was a very, very positive, thing for the European racing scene in general, but 10 scale scene, especially because the US was like every race used to have that 400 entries and like that peak of 2017, 2018, but they have been struggling. And now we're out of COVID. They have the package back together. They don't have Red RC, but now they have Raceway One, everything is coming back together. And I think this sort of a season ender was a really, really positive thing, and I hope they're going to have a really good next season. And I think they keep sort of this level up and perhaps even improve it if there is room.
I would agree with you. It was really great coverage. When is the next one, Will? Where and when?
They haven't announced.
So I did hear like some rumors. I think what they're talking about doing is maybe having a race again in Germany, like sort of like in the later of this year, like sort of October, November. So I think it's going to be in Germany. But I mean, sort of adding to Max, like I really hope they build up the series and like sort of spread it around Europe again. So it seemed like this year was just sort of just in Germany a little bit, and even during the COVID year was sort of Germany, which to be honest, I get. But I did a full season in 2018, 2019, and it was so great. Like where you went to Poland and then you went to like Czech Republic and then Slovakia and so on. It was just a really nice spread, and also like put it in great venues. Like they had it in like a massive motorsports event at one point in Poland. The way like to get RC out, like stuff like that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like now it just feels like it's just the last few is just being sort of in sports halls and everything, which is fine. Like there's no problem. I mean Daun was amazing because it's like a resort as well, so you go out and drink after and whatever. But it would be great to go back to that, and as well like keep it strictly an indoor series. I feel like when they made it indoor and outdoor, like it clashes, especially when it goes outdoors, it clashes with a lot of like the summer events and nationals events that each countries have. Like I'm sure you guys in Finland have like a nationals, and the UK we have nationals, and France and so on. So I think like that EOS is kind of like great for bringing people together in the winter and having something really competitive where all of the top guys are there sort of keeping everyone sharp during the winter. And then like obviously you have nationals, Europeans, and worlds throughout the main months.
Yeah, I think that was really good what Will said there. Like they have transfer from the winter series to, split winter and summer. I think, and also like the sports hall thing, like when I raced EOS, there was a season where one race was in Poland at this huge motorsport festival or motorsport like event at, I don't know what you call it, but like a big motorsport like fair. Then one event was at a Nürburgring where you had a full-scale, Lamborghini Cup event, And then one event at Hoodie Arena, which is, in my opinion, one of the best RC facilities in the world. And then I can't remember one more event, but at least one time they had an event in Austria where it was also at a big, model fair. So like all of them were big events, very nice venues, high end, everything was done down to a T. So I think, getting back to that, like this event has the promise to get back to that, So I think that is really, really, really good if that happens again. And also making it purely a winter series is also a bonus, in my opinion, to get all the races attending.
Will, how did you do at this race?
Yeah, I mean, not too bad. 2-wheel drive. I think I qualified like 23rd, and then I won the C main. So, I mean, previously I used to make C mains, but obviously everything's way more competitive now, and I haven't been racing the same just because of life and stuff. But I mean, I was happy that pace was there, so with it, I'll take it. 4-wheel drive.
Came home the winner.
Exactly, came home the winner, brought home the bacon, so can't complain. And then 4-wheel drive was a little bit meh. 4-wheel drive isn't really my strong suit, so it was like some only E main. Like really struggled with qualifying, just me, like nothing with the car, just me, that's all. And then I actually did a stadium truck because I knew the days would be so long, so I thought like I'll get a stadium truck and just do it. So finished 6th in EA with that. So, and I've never done a stadium truck before, just to clarify. So like that was just gonna flex with that there.
There you go. You made the A. You got 6. Did you have triple A mains too?
Yeah, with a 3rd and A3. Yeah, so I actually got a little bit of light because I made the A main in that. So I actually made 3rd in the last A main. So like and then triple A mains as well. So got my money's worth, put it that way.
Did you pay attention to stock at all? Is I just want to, I have 2 more questions, then we're going to wrap this up. Is stock like kind of how I see it in America? Okay. In America, stock is a separate class. It's a whole separate class. It's a whole separate entity. It makes a lot of money for that side of the industry. There are people that can be stock champions, and they should move up to mod, but they can stay in stock. Is stock at these races like that? Or is it like, hey, these kids do well in stock and they want to move up to mod? Or is it just a class, a separate class that people can go and race and be a part of?
I personally think it's more of a hobby class in Europe at the moment. There were like a few guys like Mattis Benetton and like I think the owner of Rude Dog, Sven, but like maybe also towards Mattis, like I don't want to sort of throw any like sticks at him, but like he's a quick mod guy, and I feel like he shouldn't be doing mod because I feel like at least in Europe, stock is more of it's like a hobby class. Like it's a class where you want to feel competitive if you're not, like these top guys, and I think that's fair enough. So that's kind of what it feels like. There might just like maybe 1 or 2 guys, which in my opinion should just be doing mod, but like it's not taking that like seriously. So it's kind of like another class, and more the entries to make it fair enough.
Okay, I got
you. I'd say it's like a filler class. I personally, when they added it, I was not very pleased.
I'm sure you wasn't.
Because it's like that I haven't heard of anyone who really races stock anywhere in Europe, like most countries don't do that. So I do understand the hobby aspect of it, but I don't think, I think you can still have a hobby. Like you can just be on the bottom mains of the, mod. So I don't know. It hasn't been very popular, to be honest, as far as I know.
Okay. Will, so I don't know if you paid attention to it, but there was the J Concepts INS race going on at the same time. I think what's so weird is that over in America, you got Dakota Fenn over there dominant, even though actually Aiden Horn beat him in two drive. Mm-hmm. But Fenn is so dominant, TLR is so good over in America, but nothing over there in Europe. Nothing. Why is that?
I mean, to be honest, like I'd love to ask the Americans that, because like the car itself, the Lefty, is a brilliant car, and like I feel there's so much potential in the UK to use it as well. Because I feel like, especially in the UK AstroTurfs, like I feel like the cars which were sort of designed for dirt actually work really well, because at least UK AstroTurfs track aren't as high grip as people think, so you need to grip. But like, I don't know why. I think they're losing a lot of potential customers here, and obviously drivers and talent. And Europe is a massive market. Mm-hmm. So in my eyes, I kind of see it as like, what are you guys doing? You guys need to get out there again. Because a few years ago, when like Bloomers drove for TLR and so on, they were doing great, and I can imagine, and the car was good on dirt too in America. So I mean, if anyone could if they want to say
it's
something,
just weird. It's like non-existent.
I find it weird. Yeah.
Go ahead, Max. I know you have an opinion on this. By the way, Max, your RC dad said hello.
Okay, tell him I miss him. I want to talk to him on in front of the podcast audience. But yeah. Oh, we're talking about TLR too, so I think it's related somewhat to my hero Barry the Baker, and what was it I am going to say?
Why there's no TLRs over there?
So okay, here's the thing. So TLR in Europe, they had a big presence when Horizon Germany had a big presence in racing. They had the Kilic brothers. They had lots of drivers in Italy. They had a big, good distributor in Italy. They had Sanchetti, they had Barufalo, they had Stocco, all of these fast guys in Italy,
Yeah, good distribution in France.
They had good distribution in France, exactly.
England too, because I remember who was really fast when I was there was that guy Ellis Stafford.
Yeah,
Ellis Stafford.
And there was a lot of TLRs in England when I was there in 2014.
Yeah, I think it's Lewis brothers. They both drove for TLR. At least one of them drove for TLR. I'd expect both of them. And then in Northern Europe, there was still guys here and there driving TLR, and they did well with that Drake brand at the time. But the issue was that in Europe, I have to say, the 10 scale market is a lot bigger than the 8 scale market, whereas in America I'd say it's quite tied almost. 8 scale and 10 scale might be quite similar size. This is due to the longer winter of Europe when you can't race 8 scale. But TLR had a very poor four-wheel drive. And then they came out with a four-wheel drive that was still very poor, They've always had a decent tool drive, but in Europe especially, it's kind of like you race both and you don't race, at least in a lot of the places where I raced before. So that definitely hurt them on the 10 scale side. Then when people sort of started realizing that the TLR 8 scale isn't that competitive, they lost some great distributors, not completely lost, but for example, the French distribution switched over a lot to S-Works, Horizon Germany, I believe, fell into some struggles or whatever, or just lost interest in the racing market. They lost drivers like Bloomfield in the UK. A lot of people move over to Agama. That was the big boom. Then on the Italy side, they just kind of lost the drive they had there. So all of the places that had a good TLR boom kind of went away. And then also Mugen was coming up. A lot of these, 8 scale based brands overtook TLR. And then in 10 scale, they weren't competitive enough because of the four-wheel drive. So in the end, kind of everything around TLR just died. No one wanted to distribute it because it wasn't like, it's much easier to sell an AE, or if you want to sell an European car, you can sell X-Ray or Schumacher, you know? So there's no reason to go into TLR at that point. Now they have the products, and I bet people will start selling TLR. They will get bigger in Europe. But to build a proper, you know, distribution web is much more difficult when you have nothing to base it on, you know, or when you have strong webs of X-Ray and Schumacher and AE distribution. Like, thanks to Brodog and lots of small distributors like CML in UK, and then in like Northern Europe, there's others. AE is really, really strong in Europe. X-Ray is obviously strong because it's a European brand, and Schumacher gets to be strong because we race on carpet, you know, and that's sort of the theme of Schumacher. So to try to invade that market is going to be really difficult. Yokomo did well for a while, thanks to, you know, Reinhardt, like Tony Reinhardt and stuff like that. So they had big presence. But when you lose that presence, it's much harder to build it. And right now there's 3 big brands like Schumacher. Well, S-Works is kind of putting their way into the 10-scale market. But I think, you know, TLR has a much better chance to do it now. But overall, for the reasons I just presented, it's going to be really, really hard to build that up again. And I don't think it's going to happen very soon.
Good. Fair enough.
Thank you for coming to my lecture.
Professor of everything. Will, what's next for you in your racing? I'm muted. I forgot. So Will, thank you, Professor of everything, Max. He just poked that bird more and more. Poke. Yeah. Will, what's next for you? Race-wise.
Yeah. So we have the MK GP here, which is kind of becoming, I guess you could say, like a UK EOS round. So that's actually, my girlfriend literally lives like 5 minutes away from there. So
when is that?
I'm pretty excited. So I believe it's the 10th to the 12th of March. Okay, and it's in a massive shopping centre.
Yes.
So it's huge. Like, even for UK standards, it'll take you at least 10 minutes to go from one way to the other. But they're not actually racing on an EOS carpet. It's actually quite literally like a office carpet. Mm-hmm. I haven't raced on it personally myself, but they use the local club that runs it's called Silverstone, and they made one section of the track at one of their Winter Series rounds with it. And I overheard it was insanely grippy. Like, to the fact where they were just turning the wheel ever so slightly just to get through it. And obviously the rest of the track, you can use a lot more throw. So, yeah, I'll be there. UK Nationals, I'll be there. And I actually just got my spot for the Worlds in Arizona. So nice. I'm definitely going to be there, which I've always wanted to go to America and race because I feel like, you know, dirt's the real deal. So
hopefully I'll see you there.
I'm super excited for that. Yeah, definitely. Like, it'll be cool to regroup with you again because I haven't raced with you since.
I won't be racing.
God knows how long.
But I'll be there.
I'll see you anyway.
We're gonna have you. I think we'll have to have you back on after the Milton Keynes race or whatever, if you want to.
100%.
I think
that has been like 100%. My favorite. That has been like my favorite, you know, UK 10 scale race for a long time. So kind of like Neo of 10 scale. So I want to hear your thoughts on it. No, I don't think I'll be able to make it over, but I'd wish I could.
Got it. But yeah, no, of course, I'd love to come on because I feel like this carpet, if it works out, could be maybe the next thing. We'll have to see. So yeah, I'll be happy to come in and talk about it. Just show me a DM.
Sweet. Well, Will, I thank you for your time. Max seems to have enjoyed geeking out over EOS with me. I think he just enjoys having another Europe. Well, you're not really European anymore because you guys left the European Union, but having another person from over that side of the pond on to talk about European racing. It's not just him.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he's still European even though he's not in the Union. I mean, you know, Switzerland is Europe, but they are not in the Union.
Sweet.
It wasn't my idea, FYI. So, you know. It wasn't my idea. So.
I'm upset they did it too. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Max, thank you. We're going to continue on, Max. We'll have fun at the MK GP, thank you for your time. And it was great talking to you about EOS Daun.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for having me on.
Sweet. Awesome. Say goodbye, Max. That's how it works.
Oh, you were waiting for me. No, it was really fun. It was really fun having you here. And it's fun to, have someone from Europe here. We usually have Americans, as our co-host, or then Joseph, which is like, I don't know what he would be, like an alien grade. It's nice to have another fellow European who knows. Yeah,
we're gonna have to have you on her a little bit. Do you watch any of the 8-scale stuff, Will?
Yeah, I always pay attention to it. I'm a good friends with like the Craddocks and all those guys. So, and obviously Hearts is one of my local tracks. So I always see the 8-scale guys there. So yeah, I pay attention to a lot, at least the UK and European scene, even the DNC, Cyclo Nitro Blast and stuff like that. So
sweet, cool.
You need to give us the best scoops of the UK nationals. I heard there's lots of like drama within the series. So I want to hear all the best scoops. You got to go there and get them for us.
Yeah, I definitely know. I've definitely heard some stories. So
I'm sure. I can tell you probably who's involved in a lot of those stories. I'm not going to say his name, but I know who's involved in a lot of those stories.
Yeah, I think we know. But, yeah.
I met him at the Wilds though. He is a very nice gentleman. I did meet him. His 2 sons are really fast. Did really well at the Worlds. All right. Thank you, Will. It was good chatting with you. Great catch up. We're going to have you back on her soon. I can see it. Max is probably going to be like, we need to have Will on there more often. I can see as soon as we get off of this. I can see it in his eyes.
Yeah. No, it was good. And I like to talk about 10 scale, properly too. It's often, hard to get a grip of what's happening, but good coverage, having you here and all that, combined. Right.
Sweet. Thank you.
We'll see you again, Will.
See you later, Briefcase.
Yeah, no worries. Just having me on. See you later, guys.
Cool. Thank you, Will, for your time. It was fun chatting with you, catching up with you. RC is awesome. Another person that I met through RC many, many years ago on my travels, which happened because of RC. So you get it? Like RC's been really good to my life.
Yeah.
Max, we got a small little rant, but we got to pay some bills and we got to say some thank yous to some of these companies that support us. So I want to say thank you to Sampedal USA. You've seen Sampedal batters on top of many podiums, including world championships from Bruno Coelho. For everyone that doesn't know, Sampedal is a private label brand of one of the largest RC producers in China. The cells in your current packs have probably been made by Sampedal themselves. Sampedal has 4S, 2S, and 1S batteries for your off-road and on-road racing needs. The place to buy Sampedal batteries is not Amazon. Sampedal race batteries are available in the USA and Canada at shop.sampedalusa.com. Dealer inquiries are welcome. And congratulations to Bruno Coelho, because he won this past weekend at the Snowbirds. Thank you to Sampedal USA. We will have Hefty on her to do a recap of the Snowbirds for next week. And, of course, our main sponsor and title sponsor, Invisible Speed. Make your speed visible with the book or the now online course. Get access to it. You have the online course. You have the on-road online course. You have the off-road online course going. And then soon to come is the Spanish online course. So thank you to Invisible Speed for that time. We're about to play their commercial. For everybody listening to an audio, this is the Invisible Speed commercial that does have no words whatsoever. Check them out. The links for that is in the written description of this podcast. All right, so thank you to invisiblespeed.net for their continued support, as well as Sampedal USA. Links for all of this are in the written description of this podcast. So, Max, I know you're tired. I'm not going to keep you long, but I have a small rant reflection. You did enough ranting in the questions, but You may or may not agree with me. I hope if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But my good friend Mark Santamaria, he released a video here the other day that got a lot of race. It got a lot of support, but also got a lot of racers a little bit upset. And it was called the hard truth, a hard pill to swallow for RC racers, or something like that. So he was basically at the TNR race, and he made a video about RC racing, and he was talking about a lot of things that I've said I've said a lot of things as well recently about racing and stuff like that. He told us how much bigger bashing is and all that type of stuff than the RC online and worldwide, which it is, and how minute RC racing is in the big scheme of things in the whole situation of RC. And he went on to say, which I've said before, basically your results shouldn't. He says, yes, it's fine to be competitive and upset with yourself for not doing well, but it shouldn't be. It's other things that you take from these races that should really make the enjoyment for this race, not just your results. That's what the gist of it that I got out of it. So I saw, I posted it because I agreed with him, and a lot of people did. And I saw a few people comment on it, and I don't know what his YouTube was like, because I know a lot of his people are bashers and all that stuff. But I did see some racers get a little bit upset at it. And I understand why. Because I remember because Mark's a racer, right? I remember when Mark kind of went over to this bashing side of things. And I was like, what the heck is he doing? He's a racer. What is he doing? It's he should be making racing content. I was like, what is he doing? I'm blind to this. What is, now, mind you, I consume a lot of bashing content. You know what I mean? Now. So I remember just watching his channel and watching it evolve. And then I sat down, I had him on the podcast, and I was talking to him, and I was like, he's like, man, you don't understand. I'm trying to bridge a gap. It's so, and he kind of really opened my eyes. My eyes were kind of a bit open, but I don't want to really admit it. But the bashing side of things and the crawling side of things is freaking huge. It's way bigger than what we do. And I think for RC racer, that's hard to swallow, because we're so, Joseph will not give bashing any time of the day. Nothing at all. I know you're kind of like that too. When I was
but I just consider it a whole different thing. It's right. Kind of it's kind of like those people who like to make their cars slow and use those way too big tires and have them all slanted. They are car guys, but I have no interest in
that. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I like race cars,
Right.
Both are car people, but it's a completely different world. That's how I would compare bashing to RC car racing.
But we can get, I believe in that goal. We have a whole untouched market to try and get them to racing, right? Mm-hmm. I remember when I realized that RC racing was in the center of RC. I realized, what? How can that be possible? And my buddy Sean Rusin, what's up, Sean? He always messes. He gets so angry at JQ. He's like, man, JQ doesn't understand. Sometimes it's fun just to go out there and drive an RC car. I love, he's a basher. He loves racing and everything. And I was like, I get it, man. Me not having a track here, I get it. I just want to go do some RC stuff, have fun. But it truly is the biggest market, man. And I know a lot of these basher guys say they don't want to race because they feel uncomfortable and stuff. Maybe it's because we take our racing too seriously. Now, I've said this before. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take your racing seriously, but I don't think you should be taking your racing on a level of maybe one of these pro guys. Because at the end of the day, this racing isn't going to be paying your bills. Yes, you'll be pissed off at yourself because you didn't do as good as you want. And it's nothing wrong with being competitive and all that type of stuff at all. Nothing wrong with that. But I truly feel that if your results ultimately determine the amount of fun that you've had at a race, it's something wrong. Because last race I went to, I had a blast. Mind you, I don't race much, but I was in a B-main or 40 plus. I was just happy to be there. I was happy to have fun. It was fun racing with my friends. I get that. It's not like that for everybody. People are uber competitive. But I think that the industry has how can I put this? Like, sponsorship doesn't equate to skill level, but it definitely equates to dream levels and illusion level.
100%. Yeah.
Right? And I see too many 30 plus guys get into this maybe for the first time, or, and they get into it and they got a sponsorship, and like over 20, I would say younger, 25 plus guys get into this. If you're 13, 14 and you're telling me that, okay, I can believe you. I see too many people getting a sponsor, getting way too serious about this, going to race too many classes, spending so much money on this. They talk about RC is too expensive, they can't do a sponsor, but the whole damn industry is built on that. The industry is built on you being sponsored, you racing as many classes as possible, the race promoting, the races, everything we look at on the American side of things. There's not so much on the European side. And the American side of things, like it a lot, is the biggest market, most seen, most vocal. It's out there. It's all we take this. I don't want to say we shouldn't take it seriously, but I think we shouldn't be out there worrying about sponsors and trying to get a better deal and all that type of stuff. We should be competing to compete. I think we need to comes back to my whole, we need the definitive line between pro and Joe, because it's those guys' job to understand. Like, people can say whatever I want, but if win in DNC and finish 10th at DNC, win in DNC, you get this much money, and finish 10th, you don't get that much money. You know what I mean? Or if you don't make the A, you probably don't get that much money at all. These guys, there's an elite. Look, here is the bottom line of RC. There is an elite group of professional racers in RC that are good enough to make a living at this. Not all of them make a great living. A lot of them have to do a lot of work, or they have to work behind the scenes. They have to do things. A lot of them are transitioning. I mean, Jared Tiba is a good example. He's doing his JTP, all that type of stuff. There aren't a plethora of young guys coming through the ranks and these guys are still winning. Like, you know what I mean? They're still beating these guys. It's very few people that do this for a living. Very, very few. Yeah. Very few that make a great living at doing this. And it seems to be dwindling more and more. We need to...
I think...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think... I mean, this has like kind of gone on a tangent to like a tangent.
I'm getting back to it.
Yeah,
I'm getting back
to
it.
But I think just to continue like what you were saying, I think people sort of misunderstand the idea of how actual like professional sports work. Like people play football, yes, but they play it as a hobby. Some played in games. They have, their team with a couple of friends that they go play every weekend with their buddies. Some go just on the field by themselves and kicking the goals. And then there's those who try their best, try to become a pro footballer. We have that same in RC, but we just don't really understand, like, it would kind of be weird. Like, yeah, we just don't understand this. The gap between Bro and Joe is non-existent. And also, the reason why Ronaldo earns that amount of money, it's not because he makes footballers buy football shoes and, footballers buy balls, whatever, That's not why he makes money. He makes money because he promotes to an audience. But in RC, we have completely dismissed that. We're just like, okay, this is not a sport that we're going to even want to show to anyone else, All we want to do is you win those races, so we get these people buying these semi-expensive equipment so we can, make money out of this. And it's funny because when I tell the sort of market structure of RC to people who understand things about markets, but don't really know anything about RC, they're like, how the fuck does it work? Like, why do they pay you? Like, who pays you money? Or who pays you to go to this race? And I'm like, yeah, it happens like this. And they're like, that's weird. Like, that makes no sense. And obviously, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like the sport of RC is kind of milk in itself, It's kind of eating its own hand all the time. And then at some point, it has to come to a point where it's not sustainable.
Right. So I think the hard pill to swallow in all this is that realistically, Kevin Talbot's, the RC Sparks, the Tom Lee RCs, that other guy, Raj Sharifin, who does the speed runs, the Mark Santamarias, to the outside world, they are the true superstars of RC.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They are, because they are the most, those guys, 100%. Kevin Talbot, RC Sparks, Tom Lee RC, and Mark Santamarias has 90, almost 100. Kevin Talbot's got like 1 million. He,
2 million almost.
Yeah, and then RC Sparks. Right, RC Sparks has been doing, like, he was the OG guy. That's the guy. I consume so much of these guys' content. Now, for us racers, we may look at it and be like, oh, this is so, like, we don't like this. This is, you know, we're also geeking out on our racing thing. And then people were like, well, we spend so much money on RC racing. Yes, you do. But so do these people who go buy $1,000 X-Maxes without blinking an eye, you know? That's the reason why Traxxas is focused on them and not RC racers.
Yeah.
So it's a hard pill to swallow that we aren't the center of the RC universe.
Yeah, but I think it's the best to understand, like, Adidas doesn't make money selling the highest high-end football shoe, the one that only those people who want to become a pro footballer buy. That's not where they make money. Adidas makes money selling the most basic football shoe there is, that all those people who go to kick the ball with their friends on the weekend.
Adidas makes money off sneakers. That's where they make money.
Okay, yeah. But if we're talking strictly from the sports side of things, yeah. But in RC, like, the business is completely separate. Like, you know, there's brands that do purely bashing and then brands that do purely racing. So there is no point. There's like no structure that's going to make the racing scene like benefit from the bashing scene. Like, and to be honest, with the current structure of the market and the way the business in RC racing works, there's no point for someone like Traxxas to come in, you know?
No.
But it kind of, if RC was a sport that made racing RC cars look cool, that would actually be worth something, you know? Like, it's not a coincidence Traxxas markets at, you know, full-scale short courses. You know, they have their own team. You know, they used to have what you call those, the Monster Jam. They used to sponsor a car there. So, like, that's because they have some exposure, some audience. You know, yes, some may argue RC is never going to have that, but like the way the business is structured right now, it's not going to be sustainable. It's kind of like,
I agree with you. We've been over this.
We have a cap.
We've been over this a lot, and I just wanted because I think some of the racers gave him a hard time. Like, I think they thought he was saying not to be competitive, and it's not. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He just said that these races, you can take more from it than just your results. And I think, I don't think that hurt people. I think the realization to realize that, hey, RC racing isn't the center of the RC universe. It just isn't. And then we can blow that even out of the world. Like, we didn't even want to start talking about the aviation side of things and all that stuff. So, we might have these superstars. Now, we do have superstars within our industry, like the pro drivers. They are a superstar, and they are the closest things we have to professional athletes out of any of the RC genres. You know what I mean? So they are, they're like athletes. I use athletes in a quote unquote because they're not out there physically doing it, but they are the superstars or super athletes of our sport, because people will say it's not a sport, but at that level, it's a sport, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think, like, obviously, it's still not, you know, these guys don't train like professional athletes would train. But I think the level of drivers we have now, like the top of RC, they are at a very high level, you know, as like professionals. But the thing is, like, it stops really soon. You know, there's maybe, like, let's say 30 guys in the world who make their money based on just their skill, you know, not marketing, not all that, just their skill.
Yeah, we lost you. But I would say, you know what? I say this all the time. I use Ronnefalk for an example. I say Ronnefalk, if he had chosen golf, he would have been a professional golfer. You know, because he has the attitude so these guys do have something that the other people don't have.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it's quite evident when, you know, lots of these guys, if they, like, for example, Kobevic is a great example of, like, he's very good at football. Like, he has been in the best, like, youth teams in Norway and all that. But he's also very, very talented in RC. So it's not like these people are just, like, happen to be good in RC. People are talented because they're talented. And I think the top end will always be the top end. But then how deep the field is, that's the question here.
It's very shallow.
Yes. And
it drops off fast. You say 30. I'm not even there. I'm less than 30. I think.
But I mean, if you take all classes, like you take everyone in touring, everyone in like nitro on road, everyone in, like, you get 30 on the list, I think.
I would say so.
Yeah,
I would think so.
I think, just to like circle back to the Santa Maria video on my part, I think he was exactly right. Like, I worked at a hobby shop for a summer, and I knew the bashing side was big. I mean, I knew this hobby shop, what they sold, probably like 80%, 90% was like RTR stuff. But when I was there and people walked in, like, I'd sell 3 to 5, you know, RTRs, like not like the cheapest RTRs, like Armor Granites, you know, those like good, like not like cheap, like €400 RTRs. I'd sell easily 3 to 5 a day, you know. Then once in a while, someone would come in. Like, I'd probably sell like Armor Kraden once a week, you know. So it's like you time that by 52, and I believe like the units that a big hobby shop in like a semi-big area, they could easily sell like 1,000, you know, €300 RTRs. Try asking like some big brand like Associated TLI if they ever sold 1,000, you know, B3.6s or what you call B6.3s a year. I doubt it that they sell 1,000.
Really?
I mean, not like maybe around the world, yes.
Okay.
But if you think like America on its own, and we're talking here one hobby shop. This is not like even a full country. It's just one hobby shop. Yeah.
All I know is, like my buddy Jimmy says, a nitro is the glory, but tracks pays the bills. Mark Santeria, great video. Keep up the good work, man. It's a hard pill to swallow, and I understand how racers felt, because I felt the same way. And I figured out that bashing was much bigger than RC racing. So, but it's so much. A lot of that has been social media, YouTube, and just people just like to go out there and have fun, you know. And we do have to tap into that somehow. We do have to do more welcome towards that. All right, Max. I think that's it. I think that's it for today. We're gonna call it a day. Yeah. Not a long podcast. Thank you for your time, good buddy. Thank you, Will, for your time. Thank you to all of the patrons. Sorry, all of the NNRC squad around the world. We greatly appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit that sub, notification, like or dislike button. Leave a comment and share if you can, as well as follow our socials, Instagram. I want to get that back up after I lost it. If you haven't liked us on Facebook, that's where our main thing is. Check us out at the NNRC No Name RC Podcast on Facebook. We also have a TikTok. And of course, we want to grow this YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on an audio platform, please leave a review. That helps us out a lot as well. And we appreciate that. Patrons of the NNRC and YouTube members, thank you for your extra support. If you guys like what we're doing and want to get some extra perks of the Patreon and YouTube membership, or just want to support us, you can. The links for that are in the written description of this podcast. And thank you to these awesome companies for all their continued support. They are Invisible Speed, Hitec RC, Mayako, Sun Pedal USA, TNR Fuels, Techno RC, Beach RC, Clinic RC. Shout out to Tony and Vicky Newland. Lugs Racing Tires, Ignite Design RC. Get those gas truck conversions, guys. Remember, we have a a link. Save 10% on that. Racecraft USA, you can save 10% on that as well. Call RC 10%. RCGP, House of RC, Roundabout Racing, JTP RC. Good luck once again to Robert Badier and everybody at the Montpellier GP, which you will be able to see on RC Mag. I will be posting all the links for that on the NNRC Facebook and Patreon and in the Discord. Max, I think that's it. We're out. Thank you. You can't salute us, but thank you and Will for your time. I'll see you next week, dude. Professor Max.
See you guys next week. I will be very pleased to answer all your questions. And
there you go.
Give my eloquent answers.
Eloquent. All right, Max. I will see you later. Enjoy Montpellier JB. If you watch it, I know I will. Thank you for your time, good buddy. Talk to you later. Lefty and Max. We're out.